It's 6 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: Buckinghamshire fundraiser apologises for using image of dead Syrian boy. Herts councillor complains about commuter train services. And Milton Keynes Dons hit for 6.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A Buckinghamshire fundraiser has apologised after using the image of the dead Syrian boy on a beach on leaflets to thousands of people. John Van Wienen was trying to encourage people in Olney to donate clothes to send to the migrants at Calais and says with hindsight he wouldn't have used the picture. More from Jessica Cooper.
John Van Wienen hand-delivered the leaflets to more than 3,000 homes in the town, encouraging people to pack a box of supplies to help migrants gathering at Calais. But people started questioning why that picture of Alan Kurdi had been used, with one person writing on Facebook saying they were horrified and they would have helped anyway, even if they hadn't seen the image, although some seemed surprised that the leaflet had caused offence.
Meanwhile, European Union leaders who've been meeting at an emergency summit in Brussels have agreed to provide €1 billion to help Syrian refugees. Britain has pledged another £100 million to help the estimated 4 million refugees in countries bordering Syria. The councillor in charge of transport at Hertfordshire County Council has written an open letter complaining about poor train services on the Thameslink and Great Northern lines. Derek Ashley says passengers have experienced further cancelled trains due to driver shortages. More from Tony Fisher.
Mr Ashley says on Sunday there were major cancellations, for which new operators Govia Thameslink have apologised. He says there are also cancellations during the week, and if they don't have sufficient staff, they should just run a reduced timetable. Govia Thameslink, which took over a year ago, say they're in the process of recruiting and training drivers, but it's not an overnight fix.
George Osborne has used his visit to China to launch the bidding process for constructing the UK's proposed high-speed 2 rail line. The Chancellor has urged Chinese firms to pitch for almost £12 billion worth of contracts for the first phase through Buckinghamshire. The MP for St Albans says a recycling facility where a major blaze took hold 3 years ago should be cleared, and if it isn't, the owners should be prosecuted. Today, Hertfordshire Fire and Rescue Service and the Environment Agency meet to discuss how to manage the site. MP Anne Main was speaking after firefighters were called again this week to deal with large amounts of smoke from the site at Apps Pond Lane.
This site is a disaster. He's tried to sell some of the product for recycling purposes. It's too wet, too damaged, too useless. Nobody wants the wood that's on this site. It is just one huge bonfire waiting to go up, and I believe the site should be cleared.
In sport, Milton Keynes Dons are out of the League Cup after a thrashing by Premier League Southampton at Stadium MK last night.
Davis through for Long, Long's onside, chance to make it 6, and Long gets his second goal. Southampton get their 6. It's an utter demolition of Milton Keynes Dons. It's Milton Keynes Dons 0, Southampton 6.
The weather: cloud and rain clearing this morning to leave sunshine and showers this afternoon. A maximum temperature 17 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Thank you, Simon. think we may have fixed your ears after. Rude of me to say, but morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. That's enough of that.
Across
That's enough
beds,
of that.
hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
So I've started doing what I can only describe as the I can give it two descriptions, so it's not only the dad squint or the old man squint.
Right.
You see me now looking at the computer screen. I'm doing that. There's the doing that. You see that? And when I go into record shops and pick up LPs, I do that. I move it backwards and forwards until I get it into the right. But yeah, every time I go to Specsavers, they refuse to tell me I need glasses. I know my own eyes better than anybody, guys.
So what you need to do is go to the supermarket and get yourself a pair of readers like other old men do.
Just buy them. You can just buy them these days. Off-the-shelf glasses. So today, we mentioned this yesterday, I've written it down, limp bands.
Yeah.
So bands have got a really limp sound. This is all inspired by the Bay City Rollers getting back together. They're so limp.
Stereophonics.
Oh, yes, the Stereophonics.
They started out with great promise and huskiness, but they've gone really...
Kelly's not convinced by the Stereophonics, nor is the nation. That's why they don't have hits no more. Here's one. And I tell you what, this band did one song that was amazing, and it was the B-sides to a song, and it was amazing, beautiful. Apart from that, everything else limp. Travis.
Oh,
yeah.
Travis.
I
limp.
like them, though.
Hang on, sorry, 1 second. Sorry, I don't know if you just heard, but Kelly just dissed the 90s. What did you say?
James.
Whoa!
No,
oh,
come
sit
off
down
it.
is not. Oh, sit down is not limp.
No one needs that.
No one needs it.
We
But
all need to sit down. What are you talking about?
oh, sit down, Mama, and the other song.
Oh, there was a really good one. Our bed is on fire with passionate
Oh,
love.
yes,
That's
actually,
a belter.
That's not. They're not limp, mate. You cannot have
I
them
like
as limp.
that one. I'll take it back.
I'll give you another one. Nickelback.
Oh,
Limp as
agreed.
rock.
And
Wet Rock.
Wet rock.
Razorlight.
Oh,
Razorlight can
Do
jump
you know
right on.
when I split up with a girl before I met my wife? When I split up with a girl I've been going out with for 8 years. I was still a young-ish thing. I was probably 32. Flipping it.
I was married by then.
And I thought I'm going to get into some new bands. This Razorlight singing about America. That's They really got their finger on the pulse. And then it turns out they're rubbish. I bought 3 albums. Sorry? 3 albums.
They had
on
3
that song?
albums.
No. I bought their current album. And I thought, this is rubbish. I also bought the Franz Ferdinand. Now they're not limp. Franz Ferdinand
They're
are
firm.
not limp. They are firm Ferdinand. Firm Ferdinand.
Who were them limp ones that sang?
You know, Franz Ferdinand have started a band with Sparks. This is true.
What, called Frank Ferdinand?
No, this is brilliant. Franz Ferdinand and Sparks, and this isn't a joke, have just made an album together and done a tour together.
I bet that's good.
Do you know what they've called the act? Franz Ferdinand and Sparks. FFS. Come on, guys. Come on. I bet that's brilliant as well. I didn't get to see it.
Who did that one that went, hey there, Delilah, na, 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 na.
Maroon 5, because they're on the list.
Oh, yeah, they're at the top of the list, aren't they?
Maroon 5 own the list. It's the Maroon 5 phone-in. Hey there, Delilah. They weren't...
They could do one anyway.
it wasn't... Who was the Penny for Your Thoughts?
Hello, Three Counties.
Kiss me.
Oh, that was Sixpence None the Richer. Get them on.
Woo! Oh, this is going to be fun, guys. It's the Maroon 5 Wet Rock phone-in. 03459 455 555. More fun than I ever possibly imagined. Let's crack on with this, and then we'll go back to the fun stuff that people really want to listen to. A Buckinghamshire fundraiser has apologised for using a photo of the dead Syrian toddler, Aileen Kurdi, on leaflets asking for charity donations. John Van Wienen is collecting supplies for refugees camping in Calais, but received complaints after posting the flyers which contained the picture through letterboxes in Olney. I'd have been flipping furious. As you know, I did my best to avoid this picture. Once I heard it was out there, I didn't need to see a 3-year-old dead boy on the beach. That boy is my son. That boy is your daughter. I didn't need to see it. Yet some people retweeted it. What do we know about Mr. Van Wienen, Catherine?
John Van Wienen's been raising money for various causes for years, and like many people, he was really touched by what was going on across the channel. He says he's been in touch with the main agencies to get a list of all the items that they need over there and the ones that aren't wanted for Calais, and he says he plans to start a collection and is encouraging people to pack a box which will be taken to a warehouse, and then the local removal company will deliver them to a camp at Calais, and they're hoping to be able to hand them out directly. Now, John says he wants the migrants at Calais to know that a lot of people in his town, Olney, care about them. He says he's seen pictures of the people at the campsite known as the Jungle, and he's worried that they're stuck there because they will not be allowed to come into the UK.
I know why these
Yeah.
leaflets are causing controversy, but just spell it out.
Okay, well, John Van Wienen hand-delivered these leaflets to more than 3,000 homes in Olney, and they have this image of Aylan Kurdi, which was printed on the front of a lot of newspapers a few weeks ago. Now, he was a 3-year-old Syrian boy who was photographed lying dead on a beach in Turkey. I'm sure if you've seen that image, you'll never forget it.
Yeah, some people retweeted it.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about
That's
that in
why
a minute.
I unfollowed everybody on Twitter. Some people, interesting enough, it was 3 women that retweeted it.
I was so shocked by it. It was a trigger reaction, and I apologise for doing that. I wouldn't do it again.
No, you put it in my timeline. You, Narina Pallo, and another of my favourite singers, and you're not one of my favourite singers, Narina Pallo, is Emma Pollock.
Yeah, 3 women who feel very deeply, and I'm sorry that I felt so deeply that I retweeted.
No, it was...
I had never seen that image before, and it hadn't gone viral at that point.
Anyway.
Anyway, I apologise for that.
Apology
and I
is
apologised in person, and now I'm doing it on air.
Apology considered. I'll let you know when I get the results back from the lab. Tense. Go on.
Anyway, people started talking about these leaflets on Facebook,
Yeah.
and they questioned why the picture had been used. One person said they were horrified, and they would have helped anyway, even if they hadn't seen the image. They questioned whether they were being shocked into taking action, and other people commented saying they weren't happy to have that picture put through their door. One woman said that her 4-year-old picked up the leaflet and was asking what the image was. But then there were some people on Facebook seeming surprised that the letter caused any offence at all. Now, John Van Wienen says it's the reality of what's happening, but with hindsight, he wouldn't have wished children to see it. He says he does understand why around 70 people weren't happy with the image being used. Now, 70 complaints is quite a lot.
That's a lot of complaints for a leaflet drop. OK, we're going to speak to John a little bit later on, aren't we? 03459 455 555. Limp rock bands, please. The Maroon 5 phone-in. These guys aren't limp, except when the lead singer was off his nut on heroin. Then he was very, very limp. But when he was stood up, he was good.
Down a little garden. Oh, God.
Thank you for the day.
Dave.
A melody always finds me whenever the thought reminds me of breaking a chain inside my head. A melody caught unwinds me. In the side of tower. If you look in your
travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Pottersbury on the A5 southbound, the lane's been closed because of an accident near the High Street heading towards Milton Keynes, just north of Old Stratford. There's a lane closed because of that accident. On the North Orbital Road in St Albans, there's roadworks going on in both directions between the Park Street roundabout and the London Coney roundabout, so that could cause some delays later on this morning. And in Chiswell Green on the North Orbital Road, it's looking slow already on the Shell roundabout. On the motorways, it's all clear so far this morning, but on the M1, there's roadworks going on in both directions between junction 12 for Flitwick and 11 for Dunstable, which could cause some delays. And on the train departure boards, the 6:18 service from Bedford to Brighton has been delayed. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Sammy. Limp bands are coming in. Scott says, of course, and we've got to be careful because this is the favourite band of one of our listeners. The limpest band of all is Bread. Who was it who liked Bread? Who was it, Kelly, who liked Bread? It was, can't remember his name.
Gosh, limpest listener by the sounds of it.
No, it was, and it was a real surprise to everyone. The guy thinks it's all right to do 70 miles an hour on the A5.
Oh,
Leslie,
yeah.
Leslie. Leslie, they're dissing your favourite band on Twitter, mate. 03459 455 555. Limp Rock. 6:18, it's Thursday the 24th of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A Buckinghamshire fundraiser has apologised after using the image of the dead Syrian boy on a beach on leaflets to thousands of people. The councillor in charge of transport at Herts County Council has written an open letter complaining about poor train services on the Thameslink and Great Northern Lines. And George Osborne has used his visit to China to launch the bidding process for constructing the first phase of HS2 through Buckinghamshire, getting some good investment from some good old-fashioned Chinese businesses.
Original British drama on BBC One.
I'm going to tell you a story of the Doctor. On the run, no TARDIS, no friends.
What do you want? Clara Oswald, safe, alive, and return to me immediately.
Your compassion is your downfall. Born to save the universe.
You will be exterminated.
Doctor Who continues.
Oh, well, go on then. Exterminate away.
Saturday at 7:45 on BBC One and BBC One HD.
This is Iain Lee.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
So far, Limp Rock. What are they called? Sixpenny Now How?
What?
What?
Sixpence None the Richer.
Oh, Kiss Me. They covered the Lars. Their next single after Kiss Me was a version of There She Goes by the Lars.
Oh, there was another single, was there?
There was another single, but they did the classic pop mistake, guys. They left the gap between single number 1 and single number 2, and I've just remembered another really limp band. They left the gap too long. It was too long a gap. Here's a band. Do you remember a band called? Oh man, alive! We'll dig out their version, and in fact, we'll dig it out in a second. A band called the River City People.
Yes.
And what was their song?
California Dreaming. And do you know how I know that?
Yeah.
Because in the very early days of karaoke, when you still used records.
Oh, what?
Yeah, they used records.
Hang on. They didn't use records for karaoke.
Well, this guy did.
Records?
He had a record of like karaoke hits.
A record player. That's not karaoke.
Well, this guy
That's sing along a Max.
Well, this guy was.
That's not karaoke. Karaoke was invented by the Japanese, and they used the laser disc technology.
Not in mid-Bedfordshire in the early 80s.
A record player with a needle?
Yeah.
You're having a laugh.
He had some instrumentals and he used to whack them on and give you the microphone.
Completely mental by the sound of it.
Anyway, so how I know about the River City People doing California Dreaming is because I won it.
What, doing
karaoke? I think I might have sung that, in fact.
You did that version?
No, I did the Mamas and the Papas version.
Hang on
well, you can't really do it on your own, can you? So yeah, I did the River City People version.
Okay, hang on a second. Well, we have to investigate the River City People, and let me just.
They were Scousers.
Well, I thought. Oh no, it's an
no, that's not them.
Here we go. River City People, California Dreaming.
How dare they?
Oh my God! And the sky is grey. Go on, so you did it in a faux American accent.
We've been singing it in choir.
Look at the state of those 90s boys. You're singing it in choir?
Yeah, we've been singing it in
This
choir.
isn't praising God. This is praising...
It wasn't a God choir, it was a Saturday morning
all right.
music school.
I got a limper version of that song.
There is
And there is
impossible.
a limper version of that song, and it's got the spookiest video of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome to the stage, singing California Dreaming, the Beach Boys.
All the leaves are brown.
Oh no.
And the sky.
Look at this, it's the spookiest video. They're all ghosts in it. They're all ghosts.
Been for a walk.
Aren't the M's and the P's in this as well?
The naughty P is in it, yes. As is a bee, the bird.
If I was in LA.
That man blanked me at an airport.
Jardine.
That man was rude to me at an airport. There they are, ghosts. There's Brian. Here we go, get ready for the soulful vocals. Here we go. Oh, I miss you, Carl Wilson. Miss you so much.
So the only reason why this is all based around a church
Yeah.
is because of that one line.
Honestly, the video is so spooky. They're all ghosts, and there's a really, really annoyed-looking Brian Wilson, I guess, because he's been dragged away from a Coke party. I don't know, and he's furious about it. Limp bands, please. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. You must have come across one or two limp bands in your time, Just.
Yeah, and limp people as well, to be fair.
There we go. But these are the limp ones we've got so far. The River City People, Sixpence
Yes.
None the Richer, Maroon 5, the Bay City Rollers, Nickelback, the Seekers, the New Seekers.
What? How dare you?
What was the new... Now, I always confuse the Seekers with the New Seekers. Who were the ones that did I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing and Beg, Steal and Borrow? That was the new ones.
Seekers.
That was the new one. Limp. Stereophonics and Travis.
What?
Yeah. We're being hard. We're taking no prisoners today. Any prisoners will be
Lighthouse
executed.
Family.
Oh
buddy.
my goodness. I mean, they
Buddy.
should fight Maroon 5 for the title of the owner of that
As
list.
described by Mark Radcliffe on Radio 1 as a band for people who don't like music, which is just sums up. 03459 455 555. Now, driver shortages have hit Thameslink, you missed an H there,
Sorry.
have hit Thameslink and Great Northern Line services yet again. The cancellations are getting so frequent that Hertfordshire Head of Transport, Councillor Derek Ashley, has written a letter. Well, that's that sorted. New operators Govia, who took over the franchise a year ago, admitted on their website that things have to get worse before they get better. Derek Ashley, this councillor, what's he saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a long letter, to be fair. He's talking mainly about the disruptions on the 20th of September. That was due to driver shortages. We've all been there, sitting on a train, and somebody says, sorry, the train's going to be delayed because we haven't got a driver. Very, very frustrating. In his letter, he says, as Hertfordshire County Council's Cabinet Member for Transport and as a train user myself, I find the ongoing situation of cancellations across all GTR lines in the county completely unacceptable, as do many of our residents. He also says over 60,000 people in Hertfordshire use these trains every single day as part of their daily commute into London, not to mention many train services that connect people to places throughout Hertfordshire. So in a nutshell with his letter, he's unhappy and he wants Govia to do more and to find some drivers, essentially.
Kelly, do you remember that day I was tricked into sitting around all day to interview the new boss of Govia? Do you remember that? I got stitched up a little bit and it turns out it wasn't even for this show, and I was furious and had a row with a member of the team shortly after. He was acting like a plum. He said he'd come on at any time that we wanted to. Well, let's put a phone call into him today and say, but we're calling back that favour, boss. What else is this councillor calling on Govia to do?
Well, in the open letter, he's calling on Govia Thameslink Railway to confirm how they intend to improve the current service levels for Hertfordshire residents, and to confirm as well when it can be expected that the services run as they say so on the timetables, particularly at peak time. He's also saying as well, if they are going to cancel the trains or the trains are going to be delayed, passengers need to be better informed about this. He's saying that there's now a variety of means for them to do that. He's saying services, if they are going to be delayed, people need to know about them and quickly as well, so they can maybe seek alternative routes.
John Ford a bit. What are Govia saying?
Govia, they are saying there were a substantial number of cancellations on the Thameslink route. This is what the council is going back to on the 20th, for which they would like to apologise. They also say it's a situation we're working hard to address with the biggest recruitment and training programme anywhere in the UK. They say that they've brought in 54 qualified drivers since January, and there's over 140 more in training. So what they're saying is this is no overnight fix. It could get worse before it gets better, but they are trying to get as many trainers up to speed as they possibly can. That for commuters this morning, though, is not good enough.
Well, they thank you, Justin. They said that to me a year ago, and we're going to recruit more drivers. It takes about a year to recruit more drivers. I wish we had the audio of that to play out. If only there had been some thought into this. Never mind.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the A5 southbound in Pottersbury, there's a lane closed because of an accident near the High Street, just north of Old Stratford, heading towards Milton Keynes. In Chisel Green on the North Orbital Road, it's busy at the Shell roundabout on Watford Road, and also on the North Circular Road in Neasden, there are delays between the M1 at the Staples Corner flyover and Wembley. Looking at the motorways, there's no delays so far, and it's looking fine through the roadworks on the M1 there between junction 12 for Flitwick and 11 for Dunstable in both directions. And on the train departure boards, the 6:38 service from Luton to Brighton has been delayed. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. I'm Simon Oxley. A Buckinghamshire fundraiser has apologised after using the image of the dead Syrian boy on a beach on leaflets to thousands of people in Olney. Meanwhile, EU leaders have agreed to provide €1 billion to help Syrian refugees. Britain has pledged another £100 million. The councillor in charge of transport at Herts County Council has written an open letter complaining about poor train services on the Thameslink and Great Northern lines. And George Osborne has used his visit to China to launch the bidding process for constructing the first phase of HS2 through Buckinghamshire.
Three Counties Sport.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Milton Keynes Dons are out of the League Cup after a 6-0 thrashing by Premier League Southampton at Stadium MK last night. Dons boss Carl Robinson felt they were simply outclassed.
We all looked all over the place tonight. Okay, yeah, maybe on strikes. Christian had a horrendous 25 minutes. He couldn't get himself into the game, but that's a massive culture shock playing against Premier League players. So we played with 1 or 2 players short in certain areas of the pitch, and then all of a sudden you're 1-0 down, and then all of a sudden you're chasing the game against one of the most offensive Premier League teams, have so much pace and power and quality.
In last night's other third-round matches, Liverpool needed penalties to beat League Two Carlisle after a 1-1 draw at Anfield. Arsenal won 2-1 at Tottenham. Chelsea were 4-1 winners at Walsall. Wayne Rooney and Anthony Martial were among the scorers as Manchester United beat Ipswich 3-0. And Newcastle's problems continue as they lost 1-0 at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Here's manager Steve McLaren.
People say, well, it's a crisis, and it's getting very, very close to. And we have got now 2 very, very tough games. There's only fighters now who are going to get us out. And that's starting from the top, from myself, all the way down through the staff into the players. Fighters on Saturday, not victims.
And at the Rugby World Cup, Scotland made a winning start, beating Japan 45-10. Australia also won their first match of the tournament, beating Fiji 28-13. And France beat Romania 38-11 to make it 2 wins out of 2. Their next match is against Canada in Milton Keynes next Thursday. There's one match tonight as champions New Zealand take on Namibia at the Olympic Stadium. That kicks off at 8 o'clock. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. Next full bulletin at 7.
Sorry, Simon, I'm trying to be clever, and instead what I'm doing is being absolutely... where's that now? What's that? Oh, it's the Beatles. It's the Beatles.
I'm right here with there any time at all, Dr. Robert. Dr. Robert. You're a new and better man. He helps you to understand. He does everything he can. Dr. Robert. If you're down, he'll pick you up, Dr. Robert. Take a drink from his special cup, Dr. Robert. Dr. Robert. He's a man you must believe, helping anyone in need. No one can succeed like Dr. Robert. Well, 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 you're feeling fine. Well, 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 we'll make you Dr. Robert. My friend works for the National Health, Dr. Robert. You'll pay money just to see yourself with Dr. Robert. Dr. Robert. You're a new and better man. He helps you to understand. He does everything he can. Dr. Robert. Well, 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 you're feeling fine. Well, 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 we'll make you Dr. Robert. Bring that friend I said you'd call Dr. Robert. Bring that friend I said you'd call Dr. Robert.
Oh, yes. Here we go. Here we go. The ending's good. Here we go. Here we go. Fade out. It's weird, though, and it fades out, but it still ends. I like that song. It's Revolver Day, by the way, guys. It was 47 years ago today that Revolver was released. What are you doing? I'm celebrating by dressing up as the psychedelic cover. And don't I look good? 03459 455 555. Tony's in Henley. Morning, Tony.
Oh, good morning, Ian.
Good
How
morning,
is
Tony.
Dunstable today, then?
How is Dunstable?
Dark.
Dark and a little bit scary, bit intimidating. Just a hint of a threat of potential violence. Apart from that, beautiful.
Where is that violence coming from?
Well, it could be coming from within me. I mean, that kind of mood. I've lost my cat, Tony. I've lost my cat.
No.
Yeah, I've lost my cat.
Worse than losing your cat.
No, there isn't. And all the people that have been snarky on Twitter, blocked. Go on, jog on. Even if you do think you work in radio, blocked. I lost my cat. It's early days, and she's gone because of the dog. And I know that. And I'm just... Last night I felt so guilty. I was thinking I shouldn't have bought that flipping dog until the cat died. She's 16. I could have waited another year or two. And she's not... And
Yeah.
I was out. Is there anything more sad, more pathetic... and pathetic in the true sense of the word, than a 42-year-old man stood in his garden shaking a cat's bowl going, Velvet! Bells! And then walking back alone.
That's so sad.
Walking
What a
back
depressing picture
alone.
you paint here.
Oh, man, it was a depressing night. It was a depressing afternoon. Anyway, Tony, what have you got for us?
Well, you remember yesterday I texted in a question
Was that about birds? That was about birds tickling each other with their own feathers.
No, not that one.
Ton of bricks or a ton of feathers?
No,
Did it have
no.
anything to do with feathers?
No, it didn't. But they weigh the same, don't they?
No.
Don't be silly.
No, they don't.
No, of course. Well, hang on a minute. What's heavier, a brick or a feather?
Well, certainly a brick is
Right,
heavy.
then you multiply it up to a ton, and it's still heavy. What would you rather have fall on you, Tony? A ton of bricks or a ton of feathers?
Neither.
Yeah, but if you had to have a choice, okay, you're strapped to a table on an island owned by a psychopath intent on taking over the world, where he says, I will kill you. Is it a ton of bricks or is it a ton of feathers? But I am a fair man. You can choose which you would like. I would obviously go for the ton of feathers. It's lighter.
Well, I think you're probably right. But which island have you got your eyes on then?
Well, this I cannot reveal. I've got a bid in and I'm waiting to see if it's accepted. Tony, would you get to the flipping point, please?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so remember, yesterday I texted a question for you, which Catherine very kindly more or less answered, but I wondered if she could continue on with her description.
Tony's the guy, and I was...
fit...
Yeah?
Yeah, how you fit chords to a tune.
Tony was the chords from a tune guy. He wanted to know,
That's
how
right.
do you know what chords go with a song? I still don't understand how you can't know the answer to this, Tony.
You play
Well,
an
you
instrument,
explained
don't
it
you?
Yes, I do, yeah. I play the guitar.
Well, a lot of it is about listening and finding what fits in your mind, isn't it?
So,
is that it?
Within
It's part of it.
You know what scales are, right? So you have
Yeah,
scales.
yeah,
So within certain chords, certain notes fit.
Yeah,
So for example,
yeah.
it's a long time since I've done this. So in a G chord, you'll have a G, a C, and a D. That's actually right. And there'll be a few other notes that can kind of go in there, right? But in a B chord, you wouldn't have a G. That would be nuts. Or Captain Beefheart. Either way, it wouldn't fit. It's just down to God.
Is it? Oh, right, okay. I've got to become religious then.
Hope that's what kind of songs are you playing on the guitar, Tone?
Oh, well, I particularly like, I was inspired by Hank Marvin, who you possibly remember.
Yeah, of course I do. Hang on a second. I just need to add the Shadows to limp rock bands. Thanks very much for reminding me. Excellent.
Oh, no. Hey, Ian, rather than limp bands, what about least limp bands?
You mean hard bands?
Yeah.
That's tomorrow's phoning.
That is tomorrow's
Oh, right,
phoning,
good,
Tony.
good,
Thank
good.
you.
That's another idea then.
Tony, thank you very much indeed.
He's full of them, isn't he?
He's good. We'll get him on board. So today it's limp bands. Tomorrow it's hard bands. Tread carefully, guys. Tread carefully, for crying out loud. 03459 455 555. It seems the biggest news story in the world at the moment is also the dullest. And it's weird because it's the biggest news story, right? And it affects millions of people, literally tens of millions of people. And I don't know anybody that's bothered about it.
Is this the Volkswagen thing?
So Volkswagen, and boy, oh boy, isn't it ridiculous? Come on, guys, it's Volkswagen. Oh, so
Volkswagen.
The head of Volkswagen has stepped. No, what, the head of what? There's no such company. Unless you're German. If you're German, Volkswagen.
Well, actually, it's with an F. Volkswagen.
Volkswagen. But if you're anything other than Auf dem Deutsch, it's Volkswagen. You don't go, yeah, I'm thinking of getting a car. Maybe an Audi, maybe a Volkswagen. You go, it's Volkswagen.
I'm sure Audi's probably Audi.
Audi, it's the same company, isn't it?
Oh,
it's the same company. Yeah. It's all the same. It's the same. Hey guys, here's a tip. Audis are the same inside as Volkswagens, but they're about 10 grand more expensive. Good luck with that, suckers. So the biggest story is that Volkswagen, they've put a little thing in their little computer game in their cars that means that we don't actually know what the emissions are, right? And the guys have stepped down and the stocks have plummeted. But everyone's going, yeah, does the car still work? Yeah, beautiful. I'll have some of that.
There was a bloke on telly the other day from this organisation called, and it was something like the Sorry We Breached Your Trust or something.
Wowzers.
Yeah, it was something like that. He was
Those guys broke my heart once.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, they do.
Yeah.
So he was talking to someone he was on the news channel, and he went completely unchallenged. And he went, well, of course, millions of people die early because of pollution.
Sorry?
It's like,
Wagwan? Well, hang on a second.
and the woman went, yeah, fair enough.
If Al Gore has his way, we will all die early because of pollution. Remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. What's the second verse to that? Because there's a second verse to it.
It was something about something never be forgot.
Remember,
something, dumbity dump should never be forgot.
Remember. I'm gonna take a punt. I'm going to take a punt.
Go on.
Kelly, what's the second verse to the Guy Fawkes poem?
Bye.
Well, that punt didn't pay off, did it?
No.
I'm going to try.
Do it again.
What's the second verse to the Guy Fawkes poem? What's the first verse?
Remember that one, the 5th
Yeah,
of November.
Okay, what's
Be careful.
What? No, hang on. This
With
is
fireworks, and don't
fireworks.
return to a lit one.
Oh, I'd love a lit one right now. It's just what we need. Go on.
I didn't even know there was. I thought there was just that.
Well, you don't even know
sentence.
that bit.
She remembered the 5th of November. What more do you want?
Exactly.
But why? Oh, flipping it! I'm going to play a really good Beach Boys song in a minute. Okay, so we need. This is the mission today, guys. The Limp Bands, and also the second verse of "Remember." Just do it again.
Remember, the 5th of November. It is the 5th, right?
The girls dig the way the guys get all wiped out. With their feet in the air, you can hear them shout. They're not afraid. Don't back down, don't back down, don't back down. They grit their teeth. They don't back down. Don't back down. You gotta be a little numb. Don't back down. But sure now who's not gone? Don't back down from that way. With their feet full of tar and their hair full of sand, the boys know the surf like the palm of their hand. They're not afraid. Don't back down, don't back down. Not my boys. Don't back down, don't back down. They grit their teeth. They don't back down. Don't back down. You gotta be a little numb. Don't back down. But sure no matter who's not gone. Don't back down from that way. When a 20-footer sneaks up like a ton of lead, and the press comes along and slaps them upside the head, they're not afraid. Don't back down, don't back down. Not my boys. Don't back down, don't back down. They grit their teeth. They don't back down. Don't back down. You gotta be a little numb. But sure now who's not gone? Don't back down from that way.
Well, that was Limp. That wasn't the song I was expecting. Limp Rock, the early Beach Boys.
Considering the message was strong, don't back down.
Listen, you're right. You're right to pick up the first line of that song. Listen to the first line of this song. I'd never noticed this. Here we go.
The girls dig the way the guys get all wiped out. With their feet in the air, you can hear them shout.
What are they doing that for?
Well, they're not afraid. Their feet are in the air. They're not afraid. What the hell is going on in the 1960s? What the hell are those guys up to on that beach? Oi, stop doing that on the beach!
Both feet on the floor, please.
Hey! Does my car... Have I got to send my... Oh, no, I've just bought a new Volkswagen. Have I got to send it back? No. Huh? No. Does it still work? Yeah? Oh, forget it then.
Travel news for beds, cards, and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's slow on the M1 southbound between junction 12 for Flitwick and 11 for Dunstable where the roadworks are, and it's being reported that the wet weather is adding to those delays, and also towards London between junction 9 for Redbourne and 7 for Hemel Hempstead. It's looking busy on the speed sensors. In Bricketwood on the North Orbital Road, it's slow at the M25 junction 21A roundabout, and in Loudwater on the A40 there's roadworks at Deerham's Lane, so that could cause some delays. The A5 southbound in Pottersbury has a lane closed near the High Street near Old Stratford because of an accident, so it's causing delays heading towards Milton Keynes. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. £6:45. Thursday, the 24th of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A Buckinghamshire fundraiser has apologised after using the image of the dead Syrian boy on a beach on leaflets to thousands of people in Olney. The councillor in charge of transport at Herts County Council has criticised train services on the Thameslink and Great Northern Lines. And George Osborne has used his visit to China to launch the bidding process for constructing the first phase of HS2 through Buckinghamshire. The problem with launching a bidding process for the first phase of HS2 through Buckinghamshire in China is a few hours after you've launched the bidding process for constructing the first phase of HS2 through Buckinghamshire, you want to do it again. Thank you very much indeed. Let's get the weather.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello, very good morning to you. We've got some outbreaks of rain this morning. The heaviest of it won't last for too long, maybe sort of 10 or 15 minutes of it, and then afterwards it's just going to be a bit grey and damp, just for a short while before things definitely brighten up as we head into the late morning and the afternoon. So gradually improving picture, and it will turn into a nice bright sunny day. Really, just let this weather front clear first. So a bit of a wet start, yes, and then brightening up nicely. The odd isolated shower around this afternoon, but some good spells of sunshine around 2, and top temperatures of around 17 or 18 degrees Celsius. It is a fairly mild start to the day. It will feel a bit fresher behind this weather front, but by the time we get to the afternoon, in the best of the sunshine, we'll be up to around 16 or 17 degrees Celsius. Again, that's 63 in Fahrenheit. Now, as we head through into this evening and overnight, it will stay dry, lots of clear skies around, temperatures readily dropping into single figures, even in some of the towns actually, lows of around 8 or 9 degrees in the town, so a bit lower than that in the rural spots. Quite a chilly start to the day tomorrow, possibly a few mist patches around as well. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday and the start of next week, we've got high pressure building basically, so it's looking dry. There'll be plenty of good spells of sunshine around, but some rather chilly nights and some misty mornings. That's the forecast.
Cheers, my dears.
chance to. I'd rather never see you ever again than play along and pretend to be just friends. But if my chance don't ever come, take my heart, take my heart. This damn sad Valentine will break in two. It beats for you and only you. Just a friend, I'm not the one that you want. 'Cause I'm so awkward and so nervous around you. But if my chance don't ever come, take my heart, take my heart. This damn sad Valentine will break in two. It beats for you and only you. My chance don't ever come. Take my heart, take my heart. This damn sad Valentine will break into. It beats for you and only you.
That was the BBC introducing track of the week. And Kelly, shame on you, Kelly Betts. Because you played us a beautiful ballad yesterday by a young... Imagine this, 12-year-olds writing music. Not just writing, na-na-na, see the sun, na-na-na, having... Let me write that down.
That's really good.
What did I just sing?
See the sun, having fun.
What was the bit before the see the sun?
Na-na-na.
Na-na-na, see the sun, na-na-na, what?
Having fun.
Having fun, we'll have that. Well, that's a new song. But it's a song by a 12-year-old that was brilliant. And
It's
honestly,
good.
this is brilliant. This is genuinely brilliant, right? It was a 12-year-old saying, Remember when I was 7, I was so alone. Then you bought me a scooter. Remember the scooter you bought me? And it went on. The next verse was, remember when I was 8, I was so alone. I wanted a mobile phone. I still love my scooter. That was brilliant.
It was absolutely
and I
brilliant.
thought that was I thought you were playing that to me for the BBC introduction track. That will be on Saturday's show, will it?
It won't be, but
Oh.
I'm sure that she will join us in the future.
Can we play
She's
it?
got potential.
Can we play it?
Of course you can.
Dig it out. It's flipping brilliant. I mean, it's a little bit, you know.
When would you like
But she's
to play?
12.
She's it's brilliant. I mean, but when I was 12, I was playing with my Jet Set Willie.
Of course, you know, when I was 12, I was in a very successful girl band called Wow.
Wow. And here's a fact.
Good days.
Catherine has turned down $1 million for Wow to reunite. Not $1 million.
They don't know. I'm going to make an excuse. I'm not going to.
Oh, you've not said no?
I'm going to lie.
Wow have been offered a chance to reunite, and Catherine is unavailable that evening because she
no,
doesn't
that's a
want to
shame.
do it.
I'd love to see those girls get back together.
Anyway, let's find that song. We'll have a bit of that
again.
later on because it's flipping brilliant. Who was that guy?
That guy was Arthur Walwyn.
Arthur Walwyn.
Yeah.
Arthur Whirlwind.
You would like his album, actually.
I
Ian.
don't know if I would.
You would. It's called Sleepless.
Is it like that?
It's a mixture of stuff.
Okay, well then.
Good luck with that, Arthur.
It's not my cup of tea. Well done, Arthur. I'm an old fart. You don't care what I think. It's the young kids. Someone said to me on Twitter yesterday, and I thought I came up with a really good answer, actually, and it summed up my life. Are there any new bands that you're into? And I replied, I'm an old man. I have all the bands I need. I don't need any more bands. I've got all the bands. I know what bands I like.
Most of the bands you like are before your time anyway. So.
Just think, in about 5 years' time, when all of my bands have died off, think of all the money I'll save on concerts. There'll be no one for me to go and see.
The way you like your bands is already done. So there's no evolution. They're not going to go in a different direction that you disapprove of because you know exactly where they end up.
I like my bands like I like my coffee, white and sweet. No, black and strong. No. Anyway.
Made by someone else.
That's the one. Thank you very much indeed. Angela Merkel. Angela.
Good morning.
Guten Morgen, mein Herr. Angela, when you hear Angela Merkel pronouncing her name with a hard G, that must really irritate you.
Oh, I'm used to it now.
Yeah, you're used to it. You're used to her hard G. Okay. What have you got for us, Ange?
Well, I heard you saying earlier, remember the 5th of November?
That's absolutely correct. We said it, and we could not remember what the second verse of that was. Well, Kelly couldn't even remember the first verse.
I'm not sure, but I think it might be gunpowder, treason, and plot.
Yes.
Yeah, we got that bit. That's the first. We're still on the first verse there.
Now we want the bit that goes da should never be forgot. That we forgot.
Remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason, and plot.
Yeah, we got that bit. I like what you're doing. You're doing what I do. You're taking the run up, thinking if I take the run up, it's just going to come, and it doesn't come, does it? Remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason, and plots.
Should never be forgot.
Oi!
But we forgot.
We've forgotten.
Oh, good grief.
Angela, it's a good effort. Thank you very much indeed. I say good, it's incorrect. I'm tempted to play a song by the Kinks that you've probably never heard. That's good.
Do you know me to tell the story about the short zip?
Yeah, go on, tell the story about the short zip, but keep it short.
Well, it's a local man that's complained about it.
Oh, local vocal.
Marks and Spencers have changed the recipe for their chino trousers.
What the
To involve a shorter zip. And this chap, Simon Astley, spotted the problem when he bought a
Simon
new...
Astley?
Yeah.
Cute Astley.
He bought
Thanks.
a new £30 pair.
That's what people say to me. Cute Astley, thanks.
The 63-year-old who's shopped at the store for decades...
He must be tired.
It must be tired.
Thank you.
Compared his trousers to his old ones. He says it's the bottom of the zip finished 1 inch higher than previously. To be precise, the crotch to zip measurement was 2 inches for years and now it's 3. Right, and this is what he
Here come
says.
the Kinks. Oh.
He's got to go up and over and he's not happy about it.
Go on. Up and over what? Oh, no! Hey, this song is from the film Percy, so it fits in quite nicely.
But he didn't make the flowers and he didn't make the trees.
best Kink songs hidden away on the soundtrack to Percy. What's Percy? It's a film about Hal Bennett. Was he shoestring? No, he wasn't shoestring. Having a penis transplant. I've just shown Catherine some of the stills from that film. It really is a stinker, but man, what a song!
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's very slow on the M1 southbound between junction 10 for Flitwick and 11 for Dunstable where the roadworks are, but Webby called to say that the wet weather is also adding to the delays. On the M1 towards London, it's slow from junction 9 for Redbourne to 7 for Hemel Hempstead as well, and the M25 is busy between junction 17 for Maple Cross anti-clockwise to 15 for the M4. On the A1, it's slow southbound from the Holiday Inn towards the Stirling Corner, and the A5 southbound in Pottersbury has a lane closed towards Milton Keynes, just north of the Old Stratford High Street. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you very much. She's good, Sammy. You notice when the music changes, I press the button, she winds up. That is professionalism. Won't get much more of that here.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: Buckinghamshire fundraiser apologises for using picture of dead Syrian boy. Herts councillor criticises commuter train services, and Milton Keynes Dons hit for 6.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A Buckinghamshire fundraiser has apologised after using the image of the dead Syrian boy on a beach on leaflets to thousands of people. John Van Wienen was trying to encourage people in Olney to donate clothes to send to the migrants at Calais, and says with hindsight he wouldn't have used the picture. More from Jessica Cooper.
John Van Wienen hand-delivered the leaflets to more than 3,000 homes in the town, encouraging people to pack a box of supplies to help migrants gathering at Calais. But people started questioning why that picture of Alan Kurdi had been used, with one person writing on Facebook saying they were horrified and they would have helped anyway, even if they hadn't seen the image, although some seemed surprised that the leaflet had caused offence.
Meanwhile, European Union leaders who've been meeting at an emergency summit in Brussels have agreed to provide €1 billion to help Syrian refugees. Britain has pledged another £100 million to help the estimated 4 million refugees in countries bordering Syria. The councillor in charge of transport at Hertfordshire County Council has written an open letter complaining about poor train services on the Thameslink and Great Northern lines. Derek Ashley says passengers have experienced further cancelled trains due to driver shortages. More from Tony Fisher.
Mr Ashley says on Sunday there were major cancellations, for which new operators Govia Thameslink have apologised. He says there are also cancellations during the week, and if they don't have sufficient staff, they should just run a reduced timetable. Govia Thameslink, which took over a year ago, say they're in the process of recruiting and training drivers, but it's not an overnight fix.
George Osborne has used his visit to China to launch the bidding process for constructing the UK's proposed high-speed 2 rail line. The Chancellor has urged Chinese firms to pitch for almost £12 billion worth of contracts for the first phase through Buckinghamshire, despite the fact the HS2 bill is still going through Parliament, as the BBC's Adam Parsons explains.
At the moment, the Labour Party and the Conservative Party both support HS2, so it is at the moment very likely to go through, despite the fact that clearly there's plenty of opposition to HS2 by people who either live along the proposed route or those who think that it is simply too expensive.
Police in Luton say staff at a post office in the town have been left traumatised by yesterday morning's armed robbery. A man armed with a handgun robbed the post office in Calverton Road at around 7:30. He's described as black, of medium build, wearing dark clothing with a high visibility jacket. He left in the direction of Lamorna Close. In sport, Milton Keynes Dons are out of the League Cup after a thrashing by Premier League Southampton at Stadium MK last night.
Davis through for Long, Long's onside, chance to make it 6, and Long gets his second goal. Southampton get their 6. It's an utter demolition of Milton Keynes Dons. It's Milton Keynes Dons 0, Southampton 6.
The weather: cloud and rain clearing this morning to leave sunshine and showers this afternoon, a maximum temperature 17 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
And that ends the professionalism until, 7:30 when Simon comes back in. Thank you, Simon! Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Lots to talk about this morning. Tomorrow, guys, please stop texting these in. Tomorrow we're doing hard bands. Today we're doing limp rock. So far, this is a list of the limpest bands known to mankind. The Shadows, the Lighthouse Family. Oh, I've got another great phone in as well. River City People, Sixpence None the Richer, Bay City Rollers, Nickelback, The Seekers, the New Seekers, the Not So New Seekers, the Stereophonics, Travis, and the king of limp bands, Maroon 5. We can also do bands and artists that you can shorten the name of. So the Shads, the Shadows are the Shads. Can't think of
1D.
1D. Macca.
They were never the Beats, though, were they?
They were never the Beats. Never the Beats.
Across beds,
never the
hearts
Beats.
and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
And also, for crying out loud, verse 2. Remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. Diddly, 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 never be forgot. Hey! But we've forgotten. And are there any other failures that we're celebrating? Because Guy Fawkes was a failure. I suppose
Well, no, it was success for the king.
We're celebrating the fact that we're celebrating Guy Fawkes' failure.
Yeah.
Are there any other failures that we make dolls out? I do miss Penny for the Guy. I don't like looking back fondly. I think the world now is generally significantly better than in 1977 but I do miss. Yeah. Penny for the Guy. And I tell you what I miss.
Children trundling around effigies of Catholics.
Yeah, I miss, kids using their dad's jacket and trousers and shirts without permission and stuffing newspaper in them and pushing them around in the wheelbarrow going Penny for the Guy. I also miss kids dressing up as Guy but pretending to be dummies. I miss that. Penny for the Guy, I miss that. Yeah. We don't have that anymore.
It's a shame, isn't it?
And do you know why we don't have it anymore?
Political correctness gone wild.
No, America.
Because America don't do it.
No.
Because of Halloween.
Thank you.
Right.
Because of Halloween. So the American Halloween... Well, actually, I think you'll find that Halloween is a Scottish tradition that started in 1636, and then it made its way to England, and then America... Yeah, I know! I'm cleverer than you!
Sam Hain, innit?
Exactly. He's doing the new Bond theme, isn't he?
It's very good.
But Halloween is an American thing, in recent history, and because of that, it's crushed our Guy Fawkes. It's crushed.
It's more fun, though, isn't it?
No,
yeah.
No. Yeah. When was the last time you saw an advert telling you not to pick up a sparkler the next day? Exactly. Kids these days have got no ideas. 03459 455 555. So, limp bands. Artists we can shorten, and which other failures do we celebrate? Eddie the Eagle Edwards. A Buckinghamshire fundraiser has apologised for using the now infamous image of Syrian toddler Aileen Kurdi on leaflets asking for donations for Calais. John Van Wienen has had a number of complaints from people upset at being confronted by the hard-hitting image. John joins us now. Morning, John.
Morning, Ian. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. What were you thinking?
What am I thinking now? After the complaint?
Well, what were you thinking at the time? Why did you? Was this picture of Aileen Kurdi? Was it on? What was it on the front of the leaflet? Where was it?
It was a small picture on the front of the leaflet, and I thought it was a good picture to put on there. The one that had been all around the world, everyone had seen it.
No, they hadn't. That's not true.
Well, most people had seen it.
Well, again, I don't know if that's true. I did everything I could to avoid seeing that picture.
Everyone had seen that picture, as far as it had been on every newspaper, every news channel, in every newspaper, every television.
But that doesn't mean everyone had seen it, John. And to push it through someone's front door is you must have realised that was a little bit sneaky to do that.
Well, I think you're using the wrong word there, Ian.
What word should I be using, John?
I think it was, with hindsight, I would have probably used a different picture, one a little less dramatic. But I thought at the time it was the right picture. If you look at charities generally, and they need to attract revenue or whatever, they use dramatic pictures.
Very rarely do they use a picture of a dead 3-year-old.
Well, that picture's been around the world.
No, John, but you keep saying that. But we some people did their best, me included. I did my best to avoid it, and I unfollowed everyone on Twitter after it was retweeted, and I was forced to see it. But people don't want that pushed through their letterbox, do they? It's one thing it being in the front of a petrol forecourt, and again, I thought that was unfair. But to push it through someone's letterbox, you must have thought, John, this is actually going a little bit too far. You had good intention, but
no.
Wow. Wow.
Well, there you are. You've got nothing to say because I didn't think it was too dramatic at the
I've
time.
got a few things to say, John, but I'm biting my tongue to be polite.
Well, 70 people have gone onto Facebook and they've had a chat. Now, the interesting thing is that when I saw it, I'm not on Facebook myself, but when I saw someone showed me...
Oh, you should go on there. There's loads of pictures of that are really unpleasant on there. You might like it.
Well, let's talk about the issue, shall we?
I wish you would, John, yes.
Well, I am doing that. When I saw what people were putting on Facebook, and it was only small, there were 70 people out of 3,300 doors that I put leaflets.
70 people is still a lot of people to be upset. John, come on, you must, John, come on. But I would be furious. Imagine I've got a 3-year-old boy, right? That boy that died, he's my boy, right? He's my mate's daughter. He's everyone's child, right? And I would be furious if someone posted that picture through my letterbox, because my 3-year-old and my 5-year-old, they like to go and collect the post. And I think, I'll be honest, John, I have been biting my tongue. I think it's pretty irresponsible to force that on people.
OK, well, you have your view. As I said, with hindsight, I would have probably used a less dramatic picture.
Which one would you have used? The one of him being carried away by the copper?
I saw that as well. I wouldn't say that I would have used that one. I would have used another one of refugees.
Yeah, but exactly. And there's a significant difference between. I will, John. I will do in a second. But you have to accept, mate, that you did something that was wrong. Come on, that was inappropriate to force that image on people.
The majority of people are very, very supportive of what we're doing.
Yeah, well, what you're doing is great. What you're doing is great. You are trying to raise, you're trying to get stuff for refugees. That's great. The way you did it, actually, is aggressive, is unfair, and I think that to post those images through people's letterboxes, I'll be honest, John, I think it's disgusting.
Really? That's a very strong word.
Yeah, well,
anyway,
John, can you listen for a second? Instead of... John,
if you haven't already done this, Iain,
John, instead of coming... John, instead of coming back with your clever little riposts and your batbacks, why don't you address what's being said to you?
I've just done that.
No, you've not. You've just come back with a clever little line, thinking that you'll get away with that. No, it's disgusting putting that image through people's letterboxes. Supposing a young kid had found it. Is that all right?
Well, if a child had found it, I agree now that it possibly was the wrong picture to put on. But at the time, I wanted to actually get people behind me and let people see what is going on in the real world. And it's true. That's what's happening.
Yeah, we know that's what's happening, John. We know that kiddies are drowning. We know that. We don't need to have the picture put through our letterbox. That's aggressive.
Right. Now, I suggest that you go on Facebook today. I haven't, because I'm not on it.
Well, hang on a minute. Don't tell me to do something that you haven't done yourself, buddy.
I was telephoned yesterday by people, and you'll find some very, very nice comments from a lot of the people
and that's,
who
John,
actually made the original comment.
John, that's great, but it doesn't address the fact that there are a lot of people that are upset by what you did, and you don't seem to accept that maybe you might have done something wrong.
With hindsight, I say I may have used a different picture.
Gosh, that really is a convincing apology to all those people.
Have I got the message across? Yes, I have.
Yeah, got the message across that you...
Aid is going from strength to strength. I've got so many people behind me here. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like an apology, if I'm honest, John. It sounds like you got your fingers burnt a little bit, and I wish I hadn't got my fingers burnt. Doesn't sound like an apology.
Well, obviously, no one wants to do anything that upsets people.
You don't sound that bothered.
And that's the reason why I put the apology on there. To say to those people, if it offended you, I'm sorry.
Put the picture... What, put the apology on the picture?
No, I put the apology on Facebook.
You said you hadn't been on Facebook?
I'm not on Facebook.
So who put the apology on?
I asked Phonebox in Oni to put it on there for me.
What's the Facebook page? Tell me the Facebook page to go to. Let's go and have a look.
Facebook, I don't know.
Oh, brilliant. You've really looked into these complaints, haven't you, John? You're really concerned about it. Do we know the page, Catherine?
No, just let me explain. I'm not on Facebook, but you will find it on Oni Notice Board, I believe.
Is that what? Is that on Facebook?
Yes. Apparently.
I can't. Well, no, don't see it.
Well,
Doesn't
you'll
come up.
find it, Ian, if you keep looking.
Oh, here
You're
we go.
probably
Yeah.
more familiar with it than I am.
Okay. Well, I've got to join the group. So it's. What I don't get.
And you'll find
John,
some lovely comments.
Yeah, I
on
bet there will be some lovely comments. But do you know what? I'm furious with you because if my boy had found that, you don't seem to be addressing the fact that some people may have been incredibly offended by that. No, I don't need to see the picture of a dead 3-year-old boy on a beach to know that there's a problem. And any charity worth its salt will be able to convey that message without using that picture. It's lazy, it's intimidating, it's bullying.
Well, they're your words, but in actual fact...
They are my words, John. I just said them. Respond to it instead of hitting back with silly little things that don't mean anything.
You see, instead of talking about the issue, which is these poor people who are in trouble and we want to help them, you just want to talk about a picture.
Yeah, I want to talk about a really offensive flyer that you put through people's doors. We've spoken about the refugees. The refugee situation is a terrible situation. It's awful.
Who have been offended, I have apologised publicly. What more can I do?
Well, say it like you mean it, mate. Do you know what I mean? Looking back, I may have used a different picture. Well, that's not a convincing apology.
Well, I think it's fair because most people are okay with it. And you need to understand that, Ian. Why don't you talk about the people, the refugees?
Because, John, I have talked about the people several times, many, many times, okay? And I think what you did, honestly, if you'd have posted that through my letterbox, I would have been absolutely furious with you. I don't want my boys seeing that.
Well, that's your opinion.
No,
Ian.
no,
it's
I
not
don't
the opinion of everyone.
No, it's not, John. And you really sound as though you couldn't give a stuff about the people that you might have offended or the kids you might have upset.
No, if I have offended people, I'm sorry, and I have apologised to them, and that's it. I've apologised. What more can I do?
You could say it like you mean it, John.
Well, I do mean it, and I've said it.
Okay, I'm not convinced, if I'm completely honest. I don't
That's
buy it.
your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion, Ian.
John, OK. Well, thanks.
You should come and talk to people in the town and see what's going on here.
OK.
Come and talk to wards who have supported it. Come and talk to all the other people, to Phonebox magazine, to Souls.
They supported, what have they supported, John? The charity or the picture?
Pardon?
What have they supported, John? The charity or the picture or the flyer?
They have supported what we're doing, only aid in taking aid.
No. That's not what, John, that wasn't the question. That wasn't the question. And I'm not in any way knocking taking the stuff to the refugees. I'm assuming you've sorted it out with the people that are actually working on site.
Yes, I have.
Excellent. I'm asking, are they supporting the charity or are they supporting the aggressive, offensive marketing techniques that you're employing?
Well, I put one picture on, then you're calling aggressive marketing.
It's not just one picture. It's not just one picture.
Using some very strong language.
Don't you think you're using pictures that could cause offence?
You might find that through this interview, you're alienating a lot of your listeners.
Well, I've got a tweet here from Rob. I hate these embarrassingly infantile bits. You're better than this. John is standing up to this idiocy well.
There you are.
Then Ian says, outrageous, you're putting that picture through doors. You know, John, I talk about what I believe in, and what I believe in is what you did is disgusting. Yeah, the charity might be doing some great work. Fantastic, well done. But it doesn't give you a free pass. It doesn't give you a get-out-of-jail card free. What you did was outrageous, and if you put that through my door, and my 3-year-old or my 5-year-old or me had picked that up, I'd be furious.
You're talking in very infantile terms there. You're talking.
Why don't you address what I've just said? Why don't you, instead of doing your snidey little laugh and your little bat backs, why don't you address what I've just said?
You're a professional interviewer.
Why don't you address the point?
And you're really quite hostile.
Why don't you address?
Calm down?
Why don't you address, instead of patronising me, John? Why don't you address the point I just made?
You. I'm just saying.
One more time,
calm
sir.
Down and talk about the issue.
One more time, sir. Why don't you address the point I just made?
I've addressed your point, Ian, and I've told you exactly what I've done. If it offended people, I've apologised. That's the best I can do. But I want to get aid collected and get it out there. I certainly don't want to upset people, and I put that right with a proper public apology, and I am sorry. What more can I say?
Thanks for your time, John.
All right, thank you for your interview, Ian.
Don't go putting pictures like that through people's doors again, will you?
I certainly won't. I will think about, if I do that, I will think about it a lot more carefully.
No, don't do
in the
it.
future.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't put pictures of dead kids through letterboxes, please. I'm begging you.
It's
I'm
not
actually
a good idea.
begging you.
No,
No, it's not a good
thank
idea,
you.
mate.
Thank you for your advice.
You're welcome. That's a freebie. You can have it one for nothing.
Travel news for beds, cards, and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M1 is slow southbound from junction 12 for Flitwick to 11 for Dunstable through the roadworks, and Webby reported that the wet weather's making it even slower, adding to the usual delays through there. On the M1 between junction 9 for Redbourne southbound to 7 for Hemel Hempstead, it's very busy, and anti-clockwise on the M25 it's slow from junction 21 for the M1 to 19 for Watford. On the M40 it's busy from Uxbridge heading towards the M25, and the A1 southbound has queues from Holiday Inn towards Mill Hill Circus, and it's very busy through the Stirling Corner and the Apex Corner as well. Great Northern trains are reporting delays into Moorgate because of a signalling problem near Drayton Park. Samantha Breff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. Listen, just because you're doing something for charity doesn't give you a free pass to to do what you want to do. Okay, I really. Boy, didn't he sound apologetic? A Buckinghamshire fundraiser has apologised after using the image of a dead 3-year-old boy on a beach on leaflets that were posted to thousands of people in Olney. The councillor in charge of transport at Herts County Council has criticised train services on the Thameslink and Great Northern lines, and George Osborne has used his visit to China to launch the bidding process for constructing the first phase of HS2 through Buckinghamshire.
This is Iain Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Let's put it out there. There's a nice mix on Twitter. I like that. Some saying I was, Rob calling me an idiot. Someone calling that gentleman a member. I'm genuinely angry there because I have to think. First of all, I don't like things being put through my letterbox anyway that have nothing to do with me. But I'm not one of those people that gets really angry about.
Junk mail.
Junk mail. Pick it up, put it in the bin. Pick it up, put it in the bin. It's fine. Free paper, yeah, I'll have a look at that. Then I'll put it in the bin. It's fine. But I do think my boys they like to. I'm sure your girls do. They like to go and collect the post. And if it's like a leaf about a car, it's for you.
Yeah.
And they get, oh, brilliant, got a letter. If my boys had picked that up, how do I explain that to my... I shouldn't have to explain that to a 3-year-old. Shouldn't have to explain that to a 3-year-old.
And listen, I get the argument that this is a horrible thing that's happening and we shouldn't turn our backs on what's going on, and we need to be, it's all right for adults to be shocked by it. But we've got a responsibility to our children too.
Responsibility to our kids. And also, as soon as I knew that picture was out there, I tried, and I did see it because you retweeted it, Catherine.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's fine. And a couple of other people did, and it was like...
But you only need to see it once for it to have the impact.
Well, I
you
didn't
don't
need to see
keep
it.
seeing
I've got a 3-year-old boy. Do you know what? I imagine what he looks like dead sometimes because that's what as parents we do, is we make the worst case scenario. That's my boy in that picture. That's your little girl in that picture. That's all of our children in that picture. I don't need to see it. As soon as I knew it was out there, I thought I'm going to do I know I'm going to come across it at some point, but I'm going to do my best to avoid it. Not to bury my head in the sand about the refugee crisis. And boy, oh boy, are there some snarky tweets and texts about whether they were. I've got
one's saying
this.
that he was killed by his dad.
He's killed by his dad. Okay, nice one. Thank you very much indeed. But not because I'm burying my head in the sand in the refugee crisis. I didn't need that image to know that there was a refugee problem, that children were dying. I didn't need that image. The arrogance of that man. Well, if I did it again, I might think differently. Oh, man. Let me throw it out there, because maybe, genuinely angry. That was a proper row there. That was Slough. That was Ian Rugby there was having a Slough row. Maybe you agree with that bloke. Maybe you agree that, putting that image through people's letterboxes is okay. 03 459 455 555 is the telephone number. I would like your thoughts on that, please. I think it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting to put that through someone's letterbox, to put it into their house.
It's kind of symptomatic, though, isn't it, of how much we share now, and we think it's all right to share things like that. Mind you, he said he's not into Facebook, so he's not even involved in that.
Sue says, your boys didn't pick it up, so where is your argument? Could have, should have, would have. He has answered the question He has apologised. Stop trying to look clever. You are yourself look foolish. I don't care if I look foolish or not, mate. He made a mistake. He apologised. Didn't buy his apology. What more can he do? Just because you don't agree doesn't make it the crime of the century. Let him talk. You're meant to interview him, not talk over him. Well, the thing is, he wasn't answering the questions. He was coming back with snidey little backhanders. Jack in Olney, can you ask John if he still has the poster up with the picture on it in his front window of his house in the High Street on Olney? Gosh. So mixed responses. That always makes me think I'm doing my job well when I get me. If everyone agrees with me, I don't think I'm doing my job properly. If everyone disagrees with me, don't think I'm... If there's a nice equal balance, yeah, I'll have that. I'm doing my job properly. 03459 455 555. On a lighter note, Katie's in Leighton Buzzard. Good morning, Katie.
Good morning, Ian.
Good morning, Katie. You know verse 2.
I do.
Remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot.
I see no reason why gunpowder season should ever be forgot.
Ladies and gentlemen, fantastic. I miss the whole bonfire night and the penny for the guy thing. It's gone, hasn't it, Katie?
Ian, I'm 88 years old. It doesn't make any sense at all to me. I can't see and I can't hear properly and I can't walk properly.
Oh, blimey.
So, you know, when you get to my age, you don't care a damn.
Well, you must care about something, Katie. What do you care about?
Children.
Yeah?
Animals.
Oh, I don't know if you heard, Katie, my little cat's gone missing.
Oh, dear. I absolutely love animals.
Yeah. Have you got any pets?
Not now. I can't. I live in a middle floor flat. I can't take them for walks.
No. Get a hamster and put it in one of those balls.
I'll get you and put you in a ball.
Katie, you little tease. Thank you, Katie. Have a nice day. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number. If you want to give us a call, 81333. Start your text 3CR. We go. Now, passengers travelling on Thameslink or Great Northern train lines through the three counties have experienced further train cancellations due to driver shortages. When new operators Govia took over the franchise a year ago, they admitted things have to get worse before they get better. Well, it's got to the point that the councillor in charge of transport at Hertfordshire County Council, Derek Ashley, has written an open letter. Derek joins me now. Derek, what does the letter say and what do you hope to achieve with that?
Well, can I say first of all that one of our roles is to represent the travelling public in Hertfordshire, and we accept the fact that Govia have got staffing problems and fewer drivers than is required. What I'm actually saying is when they took this franchise over about a year ago, and it was obvious they didn't have enough drivers to run a full service, they really should have introduced a temporary timetable, particularly at weekends, to actually run a service that they had enough staff for. Well, the problem really is the fact that cancellations are all very well, but what the public want is certainty. And if we have a train service that's slightly less than advertised and is certain it's going to run, it's much better than advertising a service with these ad hoc cancellations.
Right. Back to the original question. What does the letter say and what are you hoping to achieve?
Sorry, the letter actually is actually drawing attention to the fact that these cancellations are still going on. And I do make the point that until such time as they've got sufficient drivers, they should introduce a temporary timetable, particularly at the weekends, so that people have got certainty that trains will actually run and we're not faced with these ad hoc cancellations. There's a bit of a mend and make do operation at the moment, and we think that Govia should be realistic and say, OK, until we've got sufficient drivers, we'll operate a temporarily reduced timetable.
Do you think they're going to listen? Because they've had so many complaints that they don't seem to... are they going to listen to your letter?
Well, I'm not sure, but as I say, we're making the point on the behalf of the travelling public in Hertfordshire, and hopefully they will consider it. They make it quite clear on their website still there are going to be cancellations due to shortage of drivers. And though we're fairly late in the day, I'm just drawing attention to the fact they really should have taken some action months ago to introduce a realistic timetable.
Derek, stay there. I will bring you back in the conversation, but we have to do one of those silly things where one person doesn't want to talk to the other person. I never understand this. It's so childish. So I'm going to bring in Stuart Cheshire, Passenger Service Director for Thameslink, who doesn't want to talk to you, but will come back to you in a minute. What's your response to that, Stuart?
Hello, Ian. Good morning. Stuart Cheshire from GTR. I'm not sure I agree with your previous comment. I'm quite happy to talk to the councillor.
Brilliant. Okay, we had a message from the press department that you didn't want to talk to him. That's brilliant. Okay, well he's back in the conversation then, Stuart. So why is your train service so rubbish?
I think that what we need to do is contextualise that, Nick. I think when we took over the franchise, we were very aware that we didn't have enough train crew.
That was a year ago, wasn't it?
That was a year ago, absolutely. Now we recognise that, and we recognise we didn't have enough train crew to run the day-to-day service.
Takes a year to train them, doesn't it?
It takes just over a year to train them.
Okay, so we should be pretty much up to speed by now, shouldn't we? What's gone wrong?
Well, we should, let me just put that in context. First of all, we had a bad Sunday last week, and we're extremely sorry for that. And that is a service that's substandard, and our passengers shouldn't have that.
It's not just one day; it's constant. We're constantly getting texts and tweets saying that your service is pony. You've had it for a year. It takes a year to train these drivers. What's gone wrong?
Nothing's gone wrong. We're currently seeing a trickle of new drivers coming out of the system. You'll understand that we can't train them all at one time, that they're going through in blocks of 12. So we will see these drivers coming online now, and with a massive change, the £6.2 billion Thameslink programme is putting into our part of the network, which is years overdue, I might add. With a massive change that's coming, we have to deal with that at the same time. There's huge training pressures for our drivers. There's huge relearning pressures for our drivers. And we do need about 150 more drivers than we've currently got. And we will see them materialise.
When?
There are going to be... they're coming onto the system now.
When will we have the 150 train drivers that you need?
We'll have... the risk of cancellations will... vastly reduced by about Easter next year, and it will be on a decline. It'll be on a decline between now and then. I can't accelerate.
When will you have the 150 train drivers that you've just said you need?
By Easter next year, but they will be gradually increased in numbers. They'll be coming out of the system between now and then, and we'll be in a better position as time goes forward. But there are still training requirements. There's a massive change programme going on. We've seen it on the West Coast Main Line. We've seen it on the East Coast Main Line. This is our time. The future is extremely bright. New railway, new rolling stock, massive capacity.
What about Councillor Ashley? It'll be fine by Easter next year.
Well, this makes the point really. What I'm saying is that until they can run a guaranteed service, they really ought to look realistically, particularly at weekends where these cancellations take place, and say, OK, until Easter next year, we'll have an amended timetable, a slightly reduced service, but one we can actually guarantee, so that people are not faced with these ad hoc cancellations.
Stuart?
Yeah, I take that point. And I think that we're in a position where the number of services at risk vary, and it varies for a number of reasons. And we work right up until the very last minute to put drivers in trains. So it's very difficult. I mean, we could work on notification of trains that are being cancelled and
don't you owe it to your passengers to be able to provide them what you are telling them you're going to provide them? So they're paying for it. So if there's a chance that they're not going to get those trains, why don't you offer them a service that you know you can guarantee? It's not fair, is it? It's not fair.
Let me take your first question, and I agree with you entirely. And we should provide a reliable service to our passengers, and we're working very hard to achieve that for all of the reasons I've just spoken about. What we try and do is we have a whole team of people who work tirelessly right up until the very last second to get train crew in trains. And our drivers have been fantastic. We're providing more trains in the current timetable that have ever been done before. They're going through huge change and training programs that they've never had to before. And it's very challenging to get
I'm sure I'd heard that you were going to have all the train drivers, or at least most of the train drivers you needed by August this year. What happened there?
I'm not sure where you heard that from.
Well, a lot of the commuters have told us that.
What I can tell you is that we started the training program when we recognised that we were going to need more drivers.
Which I'm assuming would have been when you took over the gig.
It was September last year. September, October, we started to recruit those drivers. Very shortly after that, we started to train them. And now we are seeing new drivers come online.
What about those people with season tickets? Do they get refunds?
There is a delay, a repay scheme that season.
But surely, if you're, I don't know how much a season ticket is, but if you're paying, it's quite a lot of money. If you're paying a significant amount of money, and you're not really getting the service that you're paying for, you owe them a refund, don't you? How would they go about getting that refund?
Well, I think it's worthy of note here that the Go Via franchise is not set up like traditional franchises have been set up in the past. And we don't take ticket revenue. Ticket revenue goes straight to a DFC.
The thing is, the people that are using the trains, they don't care where the money goes. They're paying $4,000 a year for an annual pass. They're not getting what they've paid for. So they deserve, surely, some money back, don't they?
They deserve a reliable service, and that's what we're working very hard to do.
No. But they've already had a year of an unreliable service. We're talking about what? October, November, December, January, February, March, April. Another 7 months of an unreliable service. So they should get a few quid back. Obviously, I mean, it's obvious, isn't it?
What they are getting is a service that's going to get better over time.
No. We're here till 9. I've got all morning, and I will pursue this question. They have had a shoddy service, worse than shoddy, for a year that you've been in control. They've got another 7 months of a not a very good service. It's obvious they deserve some money back if they spent $4,000 on an annual pass, don't they?
Okay, let's be clear. I've made the point that we're trying to improve things. The revenue
please answer the question. The $4,000 that they pay a year, and that's not even including the people that just buy a ticket on a day and don't get their train. That's a whole different skillet of fish. They deserve some money back or a reduction in their annual fee, don't they?
Let me answer your question.
Please do.
Okay. The ticketing prices and the refunds for tickets and the compensation repayment scheme is outside of the franchisee's gift.
Oh, so you don't get any of the money for the tickets?
That's correct.
So how do you make your money then? Sorry, well, how do you make your money?
We have we are paid a set fee to deliver a set of outputs.
Yeah, but you're not delivering that set of outputs. So you need to refund so you don't make any of the money from the train tickets? Correct. Wow, so you don't give a stuff about the people that are paying $4,000 a year. Wow.
That's a very literal translation of what I just said.
Very literal translation. Derek, your thoughts on that before we finish this?
Well, I think we're skating around the problem here, and I make the point again. I think it was illustrated in that last exchange that we've got an ad hoc arrangement here, which isn't very satisfactory. If there are not enough crew to run the advertised train service, then actually put in a train service that you have enough crew for, and particularly, I think, at the weekends. And people will understand that. If you've got only 3 trains an hour rather than 4 trains an hour during a Sunday or a Saturday or whatever, at least if they're guaranteed to run, that will give some certainty to the public. But where you've got a situation where you're trying desperately at the very last minute to find crew and then having to cancel at last minute, that's the problem. It's the uncertainty. And I would urge GoVia to think again over the next few months to say, look, we still haven't got enough drivers. Let's amend the timetable so we can guarantee the service.
Derek, we have to end it there. It's Councillor Derek Ashley. The other gentleman was Stuart Cheshire, Passenger Service Director for Thameslink. It's BBC Three Counties Radio. We're a little bit late. Thank you for waiting, Simon. Let's get the news.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
The headlines: a Buckinghamshire fundraiser has apologised for using an image of a dead Syrian boy on a beach on leaflets to thousands of people. John Van Wienen was trying to encourage people in Olney to donate clothes to send to the migrants at Calais, and says with hindsight he wouldn't have put that particular picture through letterboxes in the town. The councillor in charge of transport at Herts County Council has criticised train services on the Thameslink and Great Northern lines. Train operator GoVia say they will have enough drivers in place by Easter next year. And George Osborne has used his visit to China to launch the bidding process for constructing the first phase of HS2 through Buckinghamshire.
Three Counties Sport.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Milton Keynes Dons are out of the League Cup after a 6-0 thrashing by Premier League Southampton at Stadium MK last night. Dons boss Cole Robinson felt they were simply outclassed.
We all looked all over the place tonight. Okay, yeah, maybe once, twice. Christian had a horrendous 25 minutes. He couldn't get himself into the game, but that's a massive culture shock playing against our Premier League players. So we played with one or two players short in certain areas of the pitch, and then all of a sudden you're 1-0 down, and then all of a sudden you're chasing the game against one of the most offensive Premier League teams, have so much pace and power and quality.
In last night's other third-round matches, Liverpool needed penalties to beat League Two side Carlisle after a 1-1 draw at Anfield. Arsenal won 2-1 at Tottenham. Chelsea were 4-1 winners at Walsall. Wayne Rooney and Anthony Martial were among the scorers as Manchester United beat Ipswich 3-0. And Newcastle's problems continue as they lost 1-0 at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Here's manager Steve McLaren.
People say, well, it's a crisis, and yeah, it's getting very, very close to. And we have got now 2 very, very tough games. There's only fighters now who are going to get us out. And that's starting from the top, from myself, all the way down through the staff into the players. Fighters on Saturday, not victims.
And at the Rugby World Cup, Scotland made a winning start, beating Japan 45-10. Australia also won their first match of the tournament, beating Fiji 28-13. France beat Romania 38-11 to make it 2 wins out of 2. Their next match is against Canada in Milton Keynes next Thursday. And there's one match tonight, champions New Zealand taking on Namibia at the Olympic Stadium. BBC Three Counties News and Sport, the next full bulletin at 8.
Simon, I'm so sorry for keeping you waiting, and you are right. I'm sure you're another fight in the car park?
I'll be ready next Easter.
Oh, man alive. We need something to cheer us up. Hang on a second. This will, let me find a little, something. This'll do the trick. Hang on, here we go. Here's
The Alphabet of Nations. The Alphabet of Nations. The Alphabet of Nations.
Algeria, Bulgaria, Cambodia, Dominica, Egypt, France, the Gambia, Hungary, Iran, Japan, Kazakhstan, Libya, and Mongolia, Norway, Oman, Pakistan, Qatar, Russia, Suriname, Turkey, Uruguay, Vietnam, West Xylophone, Yemen, Zimbabwe. Algeria, Bulgaria, Cambodia, Dominica, Egypt, France, the Gambia, Hungary, Iran, Japan, Kazakhstan, Libya, and Mongolia, Norway, Oman, Pakistan, Qatar, Russia, Suriname, Turkey, Uruguay, Vietnam, West Xylophone, Yemen, Zimbabwe.
I used to have, when I worked at another radio station, it was my favourite caller. I met him recently. I used to have this caller who'd phone. It's going to be so hard to describe, and it won't sound funny, right? This is when I was doing a late night show. Oh, a late night show. And he would phone up, and he'd say, it was still a silly show, so he'd say, yeah, I want to talk about bands with where the drummer is the lead singer. And he'd, whatever it was we were talking about, whatever rubbish we were trotting out. And he'd do it. And then he'd say, oh, one more thing before I go. And I never knew it was him. Every time I got sucked in, I went, oh, yeah, go on. He went, and then he started doing, like, African singing. Oh, Maui, and then he had, like, friends with him that would join in and harmonise. And fair play, he could keep it going for 2 or 3 minutes. And I would just turn the mics off and wet myself. It was wonderful. And I met this guy at something a couple of months ago, and he went, I used to phone you. And I always get filled with dread when someone says that, because I'm either thinking I was rude to them, or it was a really significant moment in their life and I'm not going to remember it, and it's going to look rude. He went, yeah, you may not remember it. I was the guy that used to do the African singing. I went, oh, yes! One of my all-time favourite calls.
So he was a one-man Ladysmith Black Mambazo. That's amazing.
Oh, it was brilliant. Marion says, I can't listen to you right now. You run the train service and see if you can do any better. Well, I don't work in train. Go Via? Anyone ever heard it called Go Via before? Scovia. Man, he doesn't even know how to say it.
Potato.
I can't run
Still don't work.
Marion, I don't have the qualifications. Neither do they, by the looks of things. I'm here all week. Thanks very much. What I would do, though, What I would do, though, is I would put out an advert saying, we need 150 train drivers. Anyone interested? Here's another text. Typical BBC. You're partly responsible for accidents when you encourage a stampede into Europe by economic migrants. #guilty.
Oh, gosh.
Wowzers.
A hashtag on a text. That's useful.
What an angry show we've had this morning. Partly about the trains. You want to call about the trains, you're more than welcome to. They'll be fine they'll be better by next Easter. Or the picture. We spoke to the gentleman who had was doing a charity thing. Not knocking the charity. We've spoken about the charity. About charities involved with refugees and migrants. John Van Wienen. But he was posting flyers through. Had a picture of a dead 3-year-old child on the front. And I got genuinely very, very angry. Was I right to get angry? Or was the guy right to do it? James is on the line. Morning, James.
Good morning, Ian. How are you?
Yeah, I'm angry this morning. It turns
I
out.
noticed you're angry, but I've got to say, look, it's a controversial subject.
Go on.
We all agree on that.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you gave the guy quite a hard time.
Yep.
Okay. Now, at the end of the day, what you've got to realise is that there were pictures of dead children all over the front page of the Times.
What,
It's
today?
been on Sky News,
on
where
today?
kids can quite easily watch it. Well, let me finish, Ian, please.
Well, are you walking?
The Times newspaper is
Because you're out of
posted
breath.
through thousands of doors.
But people have made the choice. People have no. Your argument instantly dissolves
Right.
because people have Thank you. People have made the choice to have the Times newspaper put
But they
through.
don't print it, do they, sir?
I don't know why. Sorry, have we gone back to the 1800s? Oh no, you're trying. You think that by saying that you're beating me in an argument. You're not. People have.
Homonym. Very good.
Sorry. What did you?
Carry on.
No, what did you say? I missed what.
I'm telling you is.
I missed what you said. Go back, buddy. You've changed the whole thing now. What did you just say?
No, I mean, no. Let's not. Don't
No,
go
what
off
did
subject.
you
Let's
just?
carry
No.
on.
You changed it. What did you just say? I missed what you just said.
It's where you're mocking me for being out of breath and trying to get off subject.
No, I'm not. I'm
Instead
not
of
trying to get off the
talking about
subject.
The issue.
I'm not mocking you for being out of breath.
You
I think
can
it's.
easily talk him down.
I just think it's a bit rude to phone while you're doing something else. That's all. That's manners. People have made the decision.
Around. I've
People
got
have.
bronchitis.
Oh, mate, come on. You can do better than that. People have made the decision. They've. Sorry? Keep muttering under your breath, boy. Stop it. Go and stand in the corner. People have made the decision to subscribe to the Times, so they know that by getting the Times, there is a chance there may be controversial and indeed shocking pictures on the front page of the Times. Now, whether the Times should have put that on the front page, that's a different argument. I don't think they should have, but they did.
Why don't you argue with them instead of that poor man?
Because they weren't posting leaflets through thousands of homes.
They do. That goes through thousands of.
No, you're not
doors,
listening
that
to the argument,
newspaper.
dude. Yeah, because people have.
You're wrong. Everyone listening can tell that now. You've got no argument, have you? It's on Sky News. Dead children everywhere.
Not everyone. Well, James.
Kids can see it.
James.
It's on water.
James. There are not dead kids everywhere on Sky News. That's a lie.
There were, actually, when that was going on.
There were dead kids everywhere?
They were there, live on the beach.
And were they live or dead on the beach? What's going on? They weren't showing the live. They weren't showing pictures of dead children.
Dead children live
everywhere
from the beach.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, if that was my daughter, you said if that was my daughter, right? Everyone's different. Maybe you would feel it was disrespectful, but
I didn't say
if it was
didn't use the
my
word
daughter,
James. I didn't use the word dis.
Honestly, if it was my daughter that was dead, and we were trying to escape, I wouldn't want her to die in vain. I would be happy for that picture to go viral. That's me.
Okay.
There is a serious issue.
James, we know there's a serious issue. James, we know.
If you can't deal with it and you want to live in your little bubble and not see it, that's fine.
No, James.
Don't
The
have
thing
to
is,
go at the poor guy
James.
because he's trying to do good.
James. Couple of things. I wouldn't want a picture of my dead kid to be shown everywhere, if I'm completely honest.
Well, that's fine.
Let me address the points.
Okay.
We're not knocking any of the charities that are doing good work. We've spoken to a lot of the people that have been over to Calais. We've spoken to a lot of people that have done a lot of work for the charities. We're not knocking that. I'm not one of those idiots. Maybe you are, I don't know. But I'm not one of those idiots that needs to see a picture of a dead child to know that children are dying. I know that. I've read the stories. I've been reading the stories for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So I've known that. And again, I go back to the issue And the Times, putting it, the Times getting delivered to thousands of homes. Have a think about it. You'll realise that doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, dude. I would not want if it's on Sky News. First of all, I don't have Sky News, but secondly, if it was on,
Millions do.
Sorry.
Millions do.
Okay, I choose not to. But I am very careful about what news broadcasts I watch if my children are in the room. Very careful, very selective.
I'm the same.
Okay, so I would be furious, understandably so. We're going to miss the travel again, flipping it. I would be furious if someone posted an unsolicited picture of a dead 3-year-old through my front door that my 3-year-old then picked up and saw.
What qualifies as unsolicited then?
I don't know what qualifies as unsolicited,
but with it, but this man couldn't.
Unsolicited. I can tell you what unsolicited means if.
For me.
Sorry.
Distinguish the difference.
I will do.
The mainstream.
No. The first question was what's unsolicited. It's unsolicited. Yeah. Unsolicited are things, and I would have thought you'd have known this. Unsolicited. I will do. Unsolicited are things that are put through my letterbox that I have not asked for, that I have not subscribed to, that somebody else has decided should go through my letterbox. That's unsolicited.
What he did was a bit outrageous. I wouldn't do that myself.
Thank you very much indeed. We agree at last. Unbelievable. Thank you for that call. I'm glad, James, you managed to come around to my way of thinking. I'm assuming Travel's got... Have we lost Travel? Is she still there?
She's gone.
She's gone. Good for her. No, rightfully so. I tell you what we're going to do. Flipping it. We had the news recently, so let's go straight to the weather, shall we?
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, T. I'm still here. Not for too long, though.
No, you do it, Elizabeth, and I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
It's all right. We've got some rather showery weather around this morning, just for a very short while now, and then it will clear and we'll be left with something much drier and brighter. So it should be a dry picture after the next hour or so. There'll be some sunshine around, a big improvement, I think, through the late morning into the afternoon. Perhaps the odd isolated shower, but otherwise dry. Some sunny spells, a fairly light westerly breeze, and top temperatures up to around 17 degrees. Overnight tonight, it's going to be quite chilly. Temperatures will readily drop into single figures, possibly some mist patches into tomorrow. Staying dry and then high pressure building, dry with some sunshine, just some rather chilly nights and some misty mornings, not just for tomorrow but also over the weekend and into next week. That's the forecast.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
If you've missed any of the programmes here on BBC Three Counties Radio, you've missed things like this.
What have you got for us, Liz? Can you beat leaving his scooter behind?
Yes. I've left my knickers behind.
But there is a way you can hear it all again.
And he had been replaced with a baby grey budgie.
What?
Yes, he's been replaced.
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
Yes, the idea of preparing for Monty Python made me aware that I enjoy being on stage, enjoy being in front of a live audience.
Allowing you to listen to what you missed.
Would you sue your neighbour, your friends, if your child got hurt on one of their trampolines?
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
If you're going to phone up to have an argument, beautiful, great. Can I just give you one tip? I don't like doing this because this feels a little patronising, and most of you get it, but some of you don't, OK? Really happy to discuss and explore other avenues of thought and other ideas. That's what makes life and our brains so wonderful. One tip, don't mutter stuff under your breath. Don't try and do snidey little comments, and don't be patronising. Yes, sir. You don't do any of that, because instantly you kind of get my... Is it now my hackles or my heckles?
Hackles.
Instantly gets my hackles up. You come across badly, I think, and it gets me angrier. And so both of us kind of, don't do particularly... I do better, but both of us don't do as well as perhaps we could. So there's no need for that. There's no need... If I disagree with you, I'm not going to do the sly little snidey comments, OK? And I would hope that you would feel the same, and you don't feel that. If your argument's strong enough, you don't need to. Okay. Mark's on the line. Morning, Mark.
Morning, Ian. How you doing?
I'm having one of them mornings. What have you got for us, boss?
Yeah, it makes two of us. Your gentleman who was posting leaflets through the letterbox.
Yeah.
I've got young kids too. And I was listening to your previous caller. I tell you now, if that would have come through my letterbox, I would have sought legal advice and I would have looked at suing him. For the simple fact of, I don't want my kids seeing that. I was like you, I tried avoiding that picture for as long as I could before it was in front of me. Not something I agree with. Now, yeah, there's the news and everything else. You choose to watch the news. You choose to see those images. I chose to try not to see those images, and I don't want my youngsters seeing that themselves. So, yeah, for literally having my child upset and having to explain the way life is at that age, yeah, I would have sought damages.
Yeah, it's... Oh, my flipping computer's gone all funny again. I hate it when it's doing this. You make an interesting point, and it is protecting our kids. And then Rebecca sent in the text. Now, I don't know if Rebecca's being snarky or if this is true. If this is true... You can't. Rebecca says, trouble is, I've managed to avoid exposing my 2 kids to the tragedy of the baby boy's body being washed up. I've had to explain to them at breakfast the story because they've heard this morning's show. Yes, I could have turned off. Kind of wish I had now. You see, and that's the impact that hearing it on the radio has had. So to have the picture, Rebecca, if that is genuine, then you have my humblest apologies. You have my... Sorry, Catherine?
I'm sure it is.
I'm sure it is. Well, you have my humblest apologies. I just don't understand, James... sorry, Mark. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my computer while I'm talking to you, so I'm slightly distracted. If you've got kids, you want to protect them from those images, and I don't. How can anyone not be? How can anyone think it's okay just to post that through a letterbox with the chance that a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old might see that?
Yeah, their head's not in the right place as far as I'm concerned. They've got a obligation to raise funds and all the rest of it. Yeah, I understand that, but there's also the obligation to protect people who are trying to protect theirs, basically.
Yep. Mark, listen, I've got to move on. Thank you very much indeed. Sorry, I was listening. My phone thing just crashed as well. So if I sounded distracted, apologies. I was distracted, but I was paying attention as well. 03459 455 555. Now, I have the luxury of many movie services on my Xbox. I could play games on my Xbox because my internet, while not brilliant, is fast enough to do that. But there are some people around the country who, what internet they've got is it's not much better than 56k dial-up. There are residents in Newton Longville whose their broadband is it's rubbish. James Lodge is one of the residents, and he joins me now. Morning, James.
Oh, good morning.
Tell us about your broadband. What's it like?
Pretty dire, really. Our broadband is, as you say, more or less a dial-up system. We suffer a really bad connection with something like half a meg, and less than 100 yards along the road, they can pick up 75 meg. For
those who don't know, we have some computer illiterate people, talking now, me. Half a meg, that is slow. I mean, that is really slow. And slow. I don't know, do you work from home, James? Do you have to do?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Lots of things I do which are graphic based.
Right.
I own a product called Wow Mugs, and that requires graphics.
Hang on a second. What's Wow Mugs?
Wow Mugs is I own the patents of a colour change in ceramic. So it means that the mug changes colour when you put coffee in it.
Oh. Have you got a website, James?
Yeah, www.wowmugs.com.
Well, don't all rush there at once because he won't be able to handle the traffic. It must be. How do you work from home then if you've got such bad the internet and I'm assuming you're sending large files sometimes if you've got graphics involved?
Well, once a day I have to trip down to the hotel.
Oh, what, to use their Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Oh no.
So I can do graphics on my computer, but I can't actually send them. So I have to take the file and go to the local hotel and send them off that way.
I thought, didn't the government say a few years ago, we're going to have super fast broadband all over the country?
Well, the government said all over the country, except for rural locations, which are now being spread out. We're hardly rural. We're a couple of miles away from Milton Keynes Central. So I find that difficult. Our issue is that there's what they call 3 boxes in the village, and they've come along to try and repair or replace the boxes so we can get infinity. And OpenReach came along, and they fitted 2 of the boxes about 3 years ago. And they appear to have forgotten the third box in the village.
BT Openreach, I have had dealings with in the past, and I know lots of people who... They're not the easiest people to talk to, and they're certainly not the fastest off the block, are they? Have you spoken to them recently? What are they saying?
Well, for a communication company, you can't communicate.
You can't do it at all. What have they said?
No, impossible to find anybody to really talk to that can give you any answers whatsoever. And I'll try to explain to them my difficulties, and I'm sure the difficulties of lots of others in my area. And there's little things you take for granted if you've got a internet connection, because internet has become the norm.
Yeah.
We use internet every day, and more we do our shopping and God knows what else we do.
James, listen, I have to move on because I've missed the travel twice, and if I do it again, Sammy Brough is allowed to hit me round the head with a cheese sandwich. Give the website a plug again, James, so hopefully you'll get a few people going to have a look at what sounds like a fantastic cup.
Okay, www.wowmugs.com.
Brilliant stuff, James. Listen, I wish you the best of luck. Keep in touch with us. Let us know how things go. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's very slow on the M1. There are delays from Luton towards Milton Keynes. So Graham called to say that a lane's been closed at junction 13 for Bedford because of a van that's broken down. It's causing delays from junction 14 for Milton Keynes, and it's also slow southbound between junction 12 for Flitwick and 11 for Dunstable through the roadworks. It's busy between junction 9 for Redbourne southbound from junction 7 to junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead, and also on the A5 eastbound it's stop between the A505 and the M1 junction 9 for Redbourne. On the M25 it's slow anti-clockwise between junction 21 for the M1 and 19 for Watford. The M40 is also busy from Uxbridge towards the M25, and on the trains Great Northern have delays between Drayton Park and Moorgate because of a signalling problem. Samantha Brough, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you, and thank you for your patience earlier. I apologise. It's been a feisty show. Maybe that's why my cat's disappeared. I'm just too angry to be around. I mean, more your calls and texts after the news with Simon.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. The headlines. Buckinghamshire fundraiser apologises for using picture of dead boy. Train company won't have enough drivers until Easter. And Milton Keynes Dons hit for 6.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A Buckinghamshire fundraiser has apologised for using an image of a dead Syrian boy on a beach on leaflets to thousands of people. John Van Wienen was trying to encourage people in Olney to donate clothes to send to the migrants at Calais, and says with hindsight he wouldn't have put that particular picture through letterboxes in the town.
If a child had found it, I agree now that it possibly was the wrong picture to put on. But at the time, I wanted to actually get people behind me and let people see what is going on in the real world. And it's true, that's what's happening.
Meanwhile, European leaders holding emergency talks in Brussels have agreed to provide €1 billion to help millions of Syrian refugees. Britain has pledged another £100 million. Train operator Govia say they won't have enough drivers until Easter next year, following complaints from Hertfordshire County Council. The councillor in charge of transport is complaining about poor services on the Thameslink and Great Northern lines after further cancelled trains this week due to driver shortages. Stuart Cheshire is passenger service director for Govia.
We do need about 150 more drivers than we've currently got, and we will see them materialise.
When?
There are going to be... they're coming onto the system now.
When will we have the 150 train drivers that you need?
We'll have... the risk of cancellations will vastly reduce by about Easter next year.
George Osborne has used his visit to China to launch the bidding process for constructing the first phase of HS2 through Buckinghamshire. The Chancellor is urging Chinese firms to pitch for contracts, but Conservative MP for Chesham and Amersham, Cheryl Gillan, says it's wrong to open the bidding when Parliament hasn't yet backed the scheme.
It's premature because, of course, the bill hasn't finished its way even through the House of Commons. It's still in committee. And certainly, the very earliest I think it could get royal assent would be the back end of next year. I still wonder whether this really is a priority for government, considering that they've cancelled other very important projects in the north, such as the Midlands electrification.
Police in Luton say staff at a post office in the town have been left traumatised by yesterday morning's armed robbery. A man armed with a handgun robbed the post office in Calverton Road at around 7:30. He's described as black, of medium build, wearing dark clothing with a high visibility jacket. He left in the direction of Lamorna Close. In sport, Milton Keynes Dons are out of the League Cup after a 6-0 thrashing by Premier League Southampton at Stadium MK last night. Dons boss Cole Robinson was full of praise for the visitors.
They want to win it. They want to win it. And they've got all the players to win it. What my players have learned tonight is that the mentality of Premier League player isn't just what's in his boots, it's in his heart and his head. And we all watch Premier League games and criticise them, fans and lesser players. I think they've seen why they play in the Premier League. They were magnificent.
The weather, cloud and rain clearing this morning to leave sunshine and showers this afternoon, a maximum temperature 17 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Gosh. What a busy, feisty show it's been this morning. We're coming in going, well, these stories don't look like much, but I was told that charity guy was coming on just to humbly apologise. Oh, man. OK. The light and indeed the shade. The light, we're looking for limp bands. Limp bands. Some of them in Shadows, Lighthouse Family, Maroon 5, the River City People. Aish. Bands and acts you can abbreviate. So far, all I've got is Macca and the Shads. That's it. 03 459 455 555. And, well, about 50 minutes ago or so, I spoke to John Van Wienen. Who Van Wienen? John Van Wienen. John Van Hoonen? He's working for a charity, and as part of the charity campaign to raise cash and items for refugees, he posted a few thousand leaflets through some doors. On the front of that leaflet was that picture of that dead boy on that beach. And, well, some people are offended. I was furious. And he came on and kind of did well, I've said I'm sorry. I posted underneath the picture, if you're offended, I'm sorry. Actually got me really angry because I've got 2 young kids. I don't want them to see that picture. 03 459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Loads of people saying I was right to be angry, about the same number saying that I was completely wrong to be angry. And that, for me, means I'm doing my job properly. There's a nice mixture of opinions. Any texts, Catherine?
Yeah, James in Bedford is furious. He's the guy who said that it was typical BBC stuff before. In fact, he sent a few through. Why don't you ring us up, James, rather than being a pen friend?
Have we tried to call him back?
Let's give him a ring.
I'm
sure he'll be keen to speak.
Give him a call. It'd be nice
he's got lots to say on this. He's saying now, typical EU puppet BBC. Yep. Keep the general public moronic with peripheral issues while the EU does great harm to Europe. Don't allow facts to get in the way of propaganda. Okay,
come on the air, man. I'd love to know what that means. You have an opportunity to come on and give us the truth.
Okay, Janet.
All I want is some truth, to quote John Lennon.
Janet in Cheshunt says, I'm with you on this charity leaflet question. Something like that coming through the door could be really upsetting for children. I hate the shock tactics used by some charities. Leaflets can end up in the wrong hands. That's Janet in Cheshunt. In fact, your next guest will have something to say on this one.
03 459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Well, we are talking about this story, about these leaflets. I had the picture of a dead boy on that were posted through the letterbox. Joe Saxton is a charity impact and communications consultant. I don't know what that title means, Joe. What is a charity impact and communications consultant?
That means I spend a lot of my life trying to think about how charities should communicate what they do to the public and to donors and to volunteers and work out how they tell people they do a great job.
Charities having a bit of a tough time at the moment, aren't they? There seems to have been a little bit of a charity backlash in the last few months.
Yes, I think that's fair, and I think some of the fundraising things that charities have been doing have been making donors not feel how fantastic it is to give, but how guilty they are about giving, or even not giving in some cases, and that's very difficult. And nobody wants it to be that way.
Well, it would appear that some people want it to be that way because they're doing it. The two kind of issues, and we're going slightly off on a tangent, but we'll get back. I just think it's interesting that this has been in the news. The two issues are kind of the harassment issue that some charities employ, but also, and I guess this is what this story is, the use of shock tactics to encourage or engage people. The shocking images that we sometimes see, why do they use those?
Well, it's interesting. That picture of Ireland Kurdi has completely changed the way that a lot of people in Europe and a lot of people in this country see the refugee crisis. It turned from being a thing about numbers, about people who weren't really human, to being something about real individuals. And most people could look at that picture of Ireland Kurdi on the beach in Turkey and say, that could be my child. Yeah. How horrendous it must be. So that picture has actually changed many people's attitudes and changed the way I think Europe has been behaving towards the migrants. So it's a big, important shift in opinion.
And it is a really important picture on so many different levels. Did it need to be adopted by charities on leaflets? Because we were all aware of the picture, whether we'd seen it or not, because there was so much talk about it. It was on the front page of a lot of newspapers. The change, the shift in both the government and the public had already happened partly because of that picture. Does it need to then be adopted by the charities? Because we know about the picture now. The picture's done its work.
Well, the picture may have done its work for some people, but I think having it on a leaflet reminds them. And it'd be interesting to know the people who complained about the leaflet also complained to the newspapers who used that story.
That's different though, Joe. But that's different though, Joe. That's different because we make a choice, don't we, whether we read newspapers or things. To have something unsolicited put through a letterbox is that's different. That's an invasion, isn't it?
I think evasion is quite a harsh word. But one of the things you've got to remember is people lead very busy lives. They're getting endless amounts of Twitter and social media and Facebook feeds. They're getting lots of leaflets through the door. Life's very busy. And if you want to raise money, you have to ask people, and you have to make them literally stop in their tracks, or sometimes make them think. And a picture like that can do that. Now, I think every charity should have guidelines about what pictures it uses and so on. And so you'd need to be really careful that you weren't making people think that everyone in Turkey or everyone in Syria was like that child on the beach. And similarly, if you put a picture of a disabled person on a leaflet saying how poor or how helpless their life was, or somebody who was in poverty at a school, you've got to make sure that those pictures don't have a backfiring effect on those people who are being portrayed, because otherwise a kid goes to school you've just said, by the way, my family is really poor, and suddenly everyone's going, ooh, look at you, you're poor. So it's really important for charities to think about images. My own view in this case is I think it's okay for this particular leaflet, but you've got to think about it every single time you do it.
It's interesting because I think it's disgusting that it was used.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I tell you why. I don't need to see the picture. I didn't need to see the picture, and I wish I hadn't. I didn't need to see the picture to know that kids were drowning, because I'd read the stories. But also, I've got 2 boys, 3 and 5, and they like to get the post. And the thought that someone would force that image into my house and would then be picked up by my 3-year-old, and then I would have to, in some way, explain that image. I think, I'll be honest, I think that's outrageous that a charity would do that, because you don't need to show that image to get the message across that people are suffering or people are dying. You don't need to have that picture there.
I think if you stop most people and said, are people suffering in refugees? Quite a lot of them said, yes, they are. You said, have you made a donation to help those people? Most people would say, you know what, I probably should, but I haven't done that yet. And so most people would perhaps say, yes, it's a terrible thing that's happening. Have they actually gone to the next step to make a donation? And one of the problems for charities, and one of the reasons where you started this conversation, was to say, you know what, actually there's a lot of problems, is that if charities don't ask, they don't tend to get donations. And that's a real difficulty. So the charities said, look, we're a great cause. We're going to sit there and wait for the donations to come in. They will wait.
But Joe, there's a difference between asking and there's a difference between forcing images like that into my house. It's my house. I don't want that image in my house. I don't want my kids to be able to pick up that image and see it.
No, I can see that, and that is a difficulty, that each person is going to have a different view of what is or isn't acceptable. And so the question then is, what would have happened if you put that image on a TV ad so that your kids were watching the TV and suddenly it came on, and you might say, well, perhaps that should be after a certain time so that children of a certain age weren't around. What would have happened if you'd put it on a poster on the street so that somebody was walking to school and saw that image?
It's easy to distract a kid. It's easy to distract a kid from a poster. It's not easy to distract a kid who's holding a bit of paper that's been pushed through the letterbox, going, "What's this, Daddy?"
I'm delighted that your children are so well trained that they pick up the post in the morning, because I'm trying to get my children to do the same.
Yeah, it's cute, but it doesn't address the point.
No, every single household is going to be different. For me, that picture is one that a lot of people will have seen before. It has been on the news. It has been in newspapers. Now, had you presented a picture, for example, of somebody being beheaded by the ISIL terrorists, then I would say yes, absolutely. And indeed, most of the media didn't show any specific images for exactly that reason. But it is a problem. All of this is completely down to individual values and subjective.
No, but it should. But it shouldn't be. And I've got it. It shouldn't be. And it's interesting how you're not actually addressing. No one's addressing the point that I'm constantly making to people. That how do I explain that to my children? You don't want to address it. That's fine. It's my house. It's my house, and I shouldn't have images that upset me or my children forced upon me, and that's what's happening. Yeah, send a leaflet. Send a leaflet with people in, people that are alive on a boat, with people that are alive in a camp, with the language, with the words. These people are suffering. These people are dying. Do not post a picture of a dead child through my front door. That's my right to not have that posted through.
So at what age would you think it was acceptable to put that image? You know, if you were giving a choice, is it a 10-year-old or is it a 12-year-old, is it a teenager? Because at some point, the real world is out there and terrible things are happening in the real world.
So you think it's okay for a 5-year-old, for a 3-year-old to pick that up? That's what you're arguing?
What I'm arguing is every parent has to explain difficult things to children every day.
At appropriate times, mate. At appropriate times. I don't want my 3-year-old holding a picture of a dead child saying, "What's this?"
No, I can see that. But what happens when it's on the front page of a newspaper?
I do my bloody best to make sure he doesn't see it, which is actually quite easy to do.
You see, for me, there's no blood, there's no violence in that picture. It's a tragic picture.
Oh, Joe, there's plenty of violence in that picture. There's plenty. It's a heartbreaking picture, and I don't want my. It's a drowned 3-year-old, mate.
Yes, and I think saying to 3-year-olds and 5-year-olds, there are terrible things happening in the world, and part of my job as a parent is to protect you from those things and explain why, you're incredibly lucky in your lives, and there are other people who are much less fortunate than you. And that process of saying to children about, the good and the bad things happen in the big wide world out there,
How old are your kids, Joe?
Very young. My kids are much older. They're doing things that are... but
I know it sounds weird, right? And I know it sounds weird. I don't want my 3-year-old seeing pictures of dead 3-year-olds. I just think it's inappropriate. And if it's being pushed through my letterbox, that makes my decision, my choice, harder. And I think that if charities are doing that, I think it's disgusting.
You see, sometimes what I do is imagine saying, okay, let's say you're then going to talk to a family in a Turkish refugee camp.
But I'm not. I'm talking to my 3-year-old in my house who's holding a flyer of a dead child. I think that's disgusting.
But so then the issue is, look, I'm sorry, we can't help you because there are people who are a little bit...
Joe, that's not the issue. The issue, that's not... Hang on a minute. Because I've not received a flyer where it's got a picture of a dead kid, I can't help Syrian refugees. Well, that's a nonsense argument.
No, that's not what I'm saying is that if you go the way and say, we're not going to, every charity is going to say, look, whatever we do, we mustn't offend anyone. Now, if charities in their fundraising never offended anyone, they would do a lot less fundraising, because part of what you need to do as a charity is to make people sit up and go, wow, that is a terrible issue. I've got busy things. I've got a million and one things to do.
Just to clarify.
I don't make people sit up and think, then I'm not going to get people.
So just to clarify, you think that if my 3-year-old comes from the front door with a picture of a dead 3-year-old, I should sit down and explain the Syrian refugee crisis to him?
That's what I would be doing with my children. They're an awful lot older than yours.
All right. Flippin' heck. He's a charity impact and communications consultant. That's Joe Saxton. Wow. 03459 455 555. Let's get the trav.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The The M1 is very busy this morning, so there's a lane closed southbound between junction 13 for Bedford and 12 for Flitwick because a van's broken down, and it's causing delays from junction 14 for Milton Keynes. But we've just had a report from Sharon saying that there's been an accident northbound as well between junction 13 and 14 involving 2 cars, so expect some northbound delays too. On to the southbound M1, there are queues from junction 9 for Redbourne towards junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead, and the A5 eastbound in Dunstable as well is stop-start between the A505 and the M1 at junction 9 for Redbourne. On the M25 anti-clockwise, it's slow from junction 19 for Watford to 15 for the M4, and the M40 has queues heading from Uxbridge towards the M25. On the Great Northern trains, there are delays approaching Moorgate because of a signalling problem near Drayton Park. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. Excellent as always. Excellent as always. Today's show has shortened my life by about 6 years. My blood pressure's through the roof. Right, it's 8:18. It's Thursday, the 24th of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A Buckinghamshire fundraiser has apologised after using an image of a dead Syrian boy on leaflets to thousands of people in Olney. Train operator Govia say, that's apparently how you pronounce it, say they won't have enough drivers until Easter next year following complaints from Hertfordshire County Council. And George Osborne has used his visit to China to launch the bidding process for constructing the first phase of HS2 through Buckinghamshire.
We've had a brilliant summer of cricket.
That's Edson Court, it's all over.
But once again, we're also celebrating our unsung sporting heroes.
He has such passion for sport. I'm extremely proud of what we've achieved here.
Who will you nominate? We're looking for someone who inspires people to get involved in sport across beds, hearts and bucks.
He's funny, he's never strict with you, so you don't feel pressured.
To make your nominations, go to bbc.co.uk/unsung hero and download an entry form. The closing date is Thursday, 22nd of October, with our 2015 Unsung Hero announced at the BBC Sports Personality of the Year in December.
She cares about everyone else more than she does about herself.
Get inspired, get nominating.
Oh, the text, and I was going to raise this as an argument to the gentleman about the charity leaflet. Thank you so much. Who sent this in? Fifi sent this in. Have you seen this text? And I was going to use this as an argument, and the conversation went a different way. Here we go. I agree with you regarding the picture. As a bereaved mother myself, that picture broke my heart on every level. Everyone on social media was sharing it carelessly for days, and it was painful to see over and over. It just brought memories of my own child back. I can't be the only one that felt that way. I'm tearing up reading that text. And I was going to mention that. Supposing someone has lost a kid that week, that year, that decade, and that goes through your letterbox. You've got to weigh up the impact of what you're doing, and that is too strong an image to force on people's lives, into their homes. I'm not going to sit down with a 3-year-old and explain the Syrian refugee crisis because it's been prompted by a picture of a child that's washed up on the beach. Yeah, I can explain. Well, there are some people, there are wars, and you talk about guns and bombs and things. Actually, they're quite bad, and there are some people that aren't as lucky as us. I can have that conversation, but I'm not going to have a conversation prompted by that picture.
I feel terrible about having shared it on Twitter, retweeted it. Yeah. I feel terrible about it. I mean,
it was a knee-jerk.
I was so shocked by it, and Twitter is kind of an adult forum, isn't it? And a bit more edgy, but I feel terrible about doing it. I wish I hadn't.
Thank you, Fifi, for that.
Have you heard what Chris / Jay, whichever he is today, has said?
Oh yeah, go on.
Iain, many would say you're wrong regarding that picture. It's real life, matey. You can't wrap your kids up in cotton wool forever, live in the real world time, or get a dog to fetch your morning mail, not the babies.
No, not forever. Not forever. Not going to wrap them up forever. I'm going to slowly unwrap the cotton wool as their lives progress and as me and my wife see fit. And there will be times when some people snatch the cotton wool and pull a big chunk of it off, and then I'll have to do a little bit of patching if I can. But I'll decide pretty much when I take that cotton wool off, and I think 3 and 5. And one of the boys' joy, simple things in life. The postman! I'll get it! It's one of their joys is going and getting the post. A, they feel that they're being grown up. They feel that they're helping mummy and daddy. And then, you get a bit of junk mail. You get a pizza thing. Oh, it's for you. Look, someone sent me a pizza thing. Yeah, they do. They love it.
Yeah. When the post comes for us, my little one always says, "Is it for me? Is it for me?" I'll go and have a look.
Are both these callers on this?
Yes.
Let's go to Paul first then. Morning, Paul.
Morning, how are you?
I'm all right, Paul. What you got for us?
Well, I'm going to take your blood pressure down a little bit because I agree with you completely as well. My kids are not young now, but the same thing. I wouldn't want it coming through my letterbox. And one of the reasons, well, two reasons actually. The first one being I saw that on social media for a few seconds. I can still see that picture in my head, even down to the colour of his T-shirt, everything. So, a young child, that's going to stay in their mind for a long while. And the younger ones, your 3-year-old, even if you do explain it to them, they're still not really going to understand it, are they? So,
no.
But the other thing is I know he's trying to do good with this, but I bet you he hasn't got the copyright to use that photograph. And,
I'm laughing because loads of people have mentioned that. Loads of people said, has he got the copyright to do that? You could possibly be right on that. I suspect that he hasn't. I mean, does the copyright thing does that really make a difference? I'm sure charities are, are photoshopping and downloading images off Google.
I'm sure that'd be the case, but it only takes one idiot to come along and demand money for it, and they've got a right, and they win.
Yeah.
So,
how old are your babies now, Paul? How old are your babies?
My babies are now 23 and 15 now.
Flipping heck. But they're still your babies, aren't they?
Of course they are, yeah. I mean, my daughter's 15. She said that I'd seen that picture and everything. She told me what she thought of it. But it's still not something you want them to see even at that age, is it, really? So
no. Is she still got a bit of cotton wool on her? And by that, I mean, are you still protecting her?
Of course I am.
I bet the 23-year-old as well. You're still trying to protect them from stuff.
You protect your own kids until the day you die, don't you?
Paul, listen, thank you, mate. I appreciate that. 03459 455 555. Mark's on the line. Morning, Mark.
Hiya.
What have you got for us, boss?
I agree with what Paul just said about. I mean, my daughter's 23, and you protect them forever. That's the whole reason we exist now. But I've got 3 points. One, you can't protect your child, your boys, from when you go into the newsagents or go into Tesco and they've got the front pages just sitting there. So the chances are that they're going to come across these pictures anyway somewhere.
Well, you're right, that's difficult. In Tesco's, they do a great thing where they have them piled up in boxes, so they're not on display.
They also have one on the front. They have one on the front so you can see it.
Do they? Okay, all right.
At child's eye level.
I've not checked that. Okay, well, if on that day, I would have avoided taking my kids to Tesco's.
But the reason I rang up...
But you're right, you're right. They can stumble across those images accidentally. You're absolutely right, yeah.
The reason I rang up as you were having the argument was because as far as I could hear, the man had addressed it as far as he was going to by saying in hindsight I wouldn't have used it. And when you continued hectoring him, trying to get him to address it further and saying, you've been bullying me by putting this through my letterbox, I was thinking it's turning a little bit the other way. And he wasn't going to address it any further than that. And I just thought that you were getting very aggressive with him, but I understand why you were angry.
One slight correction, and I take your point on board, and I appreciate it, thank you, is that he didn't say in hindsight he would have done it differently. He said in hindsight he may have thought about doing it differently. I think those are his words. So it wasn't... Right. What I felt, what I wanted to hear and what I wasn't hearing was, do you know what? I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I wouldn't do that again. I heard a gentleman who had been badgered, partly by me, partly by other people, and but didn't feel he'd done anything wrong. But yes, I take on board your point about I was borderline bullying. I would disagree, but I take on board what you're saying. Thank you.
And the third thing is copyright. If it's out there, use it. I don't care what it is.
I know, as arguments go, it's not the strongest. I really appreciate your call on that. Thank you very much indeed. What was that? That was Mark, wasn't it? Sorry, we're getting so many calls on this. That was Mark. See, I don't mind being told. If you thought I was bullying, that's not the intention. What you heard there was I took my BBC pass off. I went out, I handed it to Catherine, and I came back, and you heard Iain Rugby there having a proper argument. But yeah, all right, thank you. I appreciate it.
The thing is, sometimes what people are saying isn't what you can hear in their voice, and don't think he really understood what people's complaint was.
Let's go to John, and we will hit travel pretty much on time.
Well, you
'cause
reckon?
The whole show has been all over
You're suggesting that John might not be compelling.
John, I'm sure John will be fascinating. John, what do you want to say, boss?
Well, firstly, I agree entirely with you, and I don't think it should be thrust upon anybody at any age. If people want to go and look at what I consider to be the pornography of violence, and that's the bracket it should be put into, that they could go and look for it. I don't think it should be thrust upon us. I've actually been in zones where I've seen dead bodies. I don't want to see the thrust upon me in any shape or form because it brings back memories, and I don't want them. I made the mistake of looking up that photograph again after listening to you, and it's too much. It really is too much.
Well, firstly, if we inspired anybody to go and look at that picture, and do you know what, maybe I've been a little bit heavy-handed this morning and kind of trodden through this story. If anybody felt that they needed to go and look at the picture because of the conversations we've been having, I apologise, and I apologise to you, John, if we inspired that. Am I allowed to ask what scenarios you've been in where you've seen those horrific things? You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
I would say it was with the forces. And the image of the forces that you see of our strong, brave lads, yes, for the most part, they are strong and brave. But when you get away from the situation and you start thinking about what you've seen, you're not so strong and brave.
No, it's real. You know, it's real.
It's real.
I can't. Go on, John. Sorry, what were you going to say?
It's not just bodies wash up on beaches. I've seen bodies blown to pieces, and you don't want to see that. You really don't, especially on the press. There should. I know that there's this thing that says there's the freedom of the press, and that trying to actually control it. It seemed to be wrong, but there needs to be some control put into place. We do not need to see these things thrust upon us. Yes, put the information out there so it can be found and people can be told where to find it if they want to go and look at it, but we don't need to have it on the front page of a paper or anything like that. That's the way I see it.
John, I can't even begin to imagine what you have experienced. I want to say thank you for your call. Thank you for whatever service it was that you did for us. And, I hope your life is a happy one. Thank you, mate. Cheers for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Gosh. Thank you, John. 03459 455 555. I lied. We're late for the travel.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1, there's a lane closed southbound between junction 13 for Bedford and 12 for Flitwick because a van's broken down. That's causing delays from junction 14 for Milton Keynes. Northbound on the M1, there's reports of a lane blocked by an accident between junction 13 for Bedford and 14 for Milton Keynes, so it's very slow in both directions. On the M25, there's a lane blocked anti-clockwise by a car that's broken down just after junction 24 for Potters Bar. The M40 is slow heading into London from the M25 towards the Denham roundabout, and in High Wycombe on the A40 London Road, there are queues in both directions. Also on Amersham Hill, that's looking very busy into High Wycombe. On the trains, Great Northern have possible 10-minute delays into Moorgate because of a signalling problem near Drayton Park. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:30. I'm Simon Oxley. A Buckinghamshire fundraiser has apologised after using an image of a dead Syrian boy on leaflets to thousands of people in Olney. John Van Wienen says with hindsight he wouldn't have put that particular picture through letterboxes in the town. Train operator Govia say they won't have enough drivers until Easter next year following complaints from Hertfordshire County Council. The councillor in charge of transport is complaining about poor services on the Thameslink and Great Northern lines after further cancelled trains this week due to driver shortages. And George Osborne has used his visit to China to launch the bidding process for constructing the first phase of HS2 through Buckinghamshire. But Conservative MP for Chesham and Amersham, Cheryl Gillan, says it's wrong to open the bidding when Parliament hasn't yet backed the scheme.
Three Counties Sport.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Milton Keynes Dons are out of the League Cup after a 6-0 thrashing by Premier League Southampton at Stadium MK last night. Dons boss Carl Robinson now has his focus on Saturday's league match at home to Derby.
I'll get criticised for a number of changes, so people will question, why did you make this change, why did you make that change? Well, I had to, and it's gone against me. I've made changes before, it's gone for me, and we've been given plaudits for the rotation, and we didn't take them. So when we do it and it goes completely, drastically, embarrassingly wrong, we've got to accept it. And it was for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons, and the right reasons are for Saturday.
In last night's other third-round matches, Liverpool needed penalties to beat League Two Carlisle after a 1-1 draw at Anfield. Arsenal won 2-1 at Tottenham. Chelsea were 4-1 winners at Walsall. Wayne Rooney and Anthony Martial were among the scorers as Manchester United beat Ipswich 3-0. And Newcastle's problems continue as they lost 1-0 at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Here's manager Steve McLaren.
It's gone. We're going to get criticised, deservedly so. But there's only one set of people who can do anything about it. It's in that dressing room, and we've got to pick ourselves up and become fighters, not victims. And that's the kind of attitude that we need.
And at the Rugby World Cup, Scotland made a winning start, beating Japan. Australia also won their first match of the tournament, beating Fiji. And France beat Romania 38-11 last night to make it 2 wins out of 2. Their next match is against Canada in Milton Keynes next Thursday. There's one match tonight as champions New Zealand take on Namibia at the Olympic Stadium. That match kicking off at 8 o'clock. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin at 9.
I think we all need a little bit of this.
Well, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with fire up. I've never been with anything less than a 9. So fine, I've been on fire with Sally Field, gone fast with a girl named Bo, but somehow they just don't end up as mine. It's a death-defying life I lead. I take my chances. I die for living in the movies and TV. But the hardest thing I ever do is watch my leading ladies kiss some other guy while I'm bandaging my knee. I might fall from a tall building, I might roll a brand new car, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that made Redford such a star. I've never spent much time in school, but I taught ladies plenty. It's true, I hire my body out for pay. Hey, hey, I've gotten burned over Cheryl Teague's, blown up for Raquel Welch. But when I wind up in the hay, it's only hay. Hey, hey, I might jump an open drawbridge or Tarzan from a vine, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look so fine.
We're all still reeling from John's call. Thank you, John. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. What a morning. What a morning. 03459 455 555. We'll go back to the list of limp bands in a little bit. Don't worry about light and shade, and we'll take your calls about whether it was appropriate for a charity to put leaflets through people's doors with the picture of that dead child on the front. Genuinely really angry by it. 03459 455 555. But back to Govia, whatever they're called these days. Earlier on we spoke to Stuart Cheshire from Govia Thameslink about the constant interruptions to service since they took over. We get inundated with complaints at how pony this service is, constantly. And they had a really bad day the other day. Well, Stuart Cheshire told us that things won't run smoothly until Easter next year. And then we finished the conversation, and then then what happened, Catherine?
So we finished the conversation. But he told us that they actually don't get any money from tickets.
Okay.
And I think you said something to the effect that, so you don't care about the commuters then?
Yeah.
And he said, and I quote, this is a very literal interpretation of what I said.
Okay. So then
we had gone 5 minutes over the
we
news
were
at that point.
Plenty of time, and then the head of communications at Govia Thameslink got in touch and said, well, I don't think that he had a fair crack of the whip. Okay. So that person is Roger Perkins, and so Roger Perkins finished cracking the whip.
Oh, thank you ever so much. It wasn't so much that you didn't give him, but because you had run over, it's just that, like you said, you had to cut the interview short at some point. We do really care about our passengers, and what Stuart would have gone on to say is that we are penalised incredibly heavily if we have to cancel any services.
Tough.
Yes, the
Provide a
government
decent
says-
service. Tough.
Yeah, well, no, absolutely. We recognise we don't have enough drivers to be able to provide a consistent service at the moment because of the large amounts of training that are going on.
Roger.
But we are recruiting drivers.
With the greatest respect, if you've just called in just to repeat what was said an hour ago, I'm really not interested. I thought you wanted to kind of finish a point that wasn't made.
I did, and the point was that we do care very much about our passengers, and we do get penalised very heavily for every train that is cancelled.
Okay.
I don't think that came across at all.
Okay, and how are you compensating those passengers that you care so much for?
We have a delay repay system, so anyone who's delayed by more than 30 minutes is entitled to.
People are spending $4,000 a year on passes and stuff, and you're not giving them the service that you're promising them.
And we have a system in place where people can get compensation. We've made that easier than ever. We're going to be introducing automatic notification so that people know that they can get compensation. We're bringing in smart cards so that when you touch in and you touch out in the future, if your train has been delayed, it will say, do you know what, you're entitled to compensation. Click on this link, find out how to do it.
The service is rubbish. You lot have had it for a year. And it will be a bit better by Easter next year. Come on, Roger. That's not good enough.
Be better, a little bit better. What we're saying is at the moment there is a risk of cancellations at certain times. They tend to have been at weekends. But,
doesn't matter when it is.
Easter, it matters whether or not it's in the rush hour or not. Because
no, it doesn't. If you're stood there waiting for a train, it doesn't matter when it is, and that's the thing. It's like, well, it's only happening at weekends, so that's okay. No, it's not okay.
It's not okay.
And it doesn't just happen at weekends as well, Roger.
It's absolutely not okay, and we really accept that. And genuine apologies to people. What I was trying to make the point is that the vast majority of people obviously travel in the peak. This is a commuter service primarily, and those peak services are really far less affected by this. And we are working flat out to bring in new drivers. Unfortunately, you can't train them all in one hit. It's just simply not possible.
How many have you trained in the last year?
100. We've got 114 training now. We brought in 54 new drivers to the routes, to the Great Northern Thameslink routes that your listeners use. We've doubled the number of trainers we've got. We've tripled the number of training courses. Obviously, drivers are retiring during this period as well, but we have lots of training for the new trains we're bringing in as well. So when you need to train a driver to drive a new train, you have to take them off their duty and cover that. So our drivers are really helpful. They work their rest days. They're incredibly helpful in order to cover for that. And in the meantime, we're recruiting more and more drivers so that we're not dependent upon having to ask our drivers to work their rest days to cover this essential training and the overall shortfall that there is. But it does take over a year to train a driver, and we can't just. I mean, we started as soon as we got in doing this program, but it will take, as Stuart said, through to spring next year to complete that program. And in the meantime, when things happen, we make sure we tell people we're very sorry. There is a risk of some cancellations tomorrow, and this might well be, say, on a Friday into a Saturday. Please check our website where we have a full list of all the cancellations.
Why should they have to go to a website, though? Because not everyone has access to a website or access to Twitter.
If you're standing on a platform, it will tell you if a train is cancelled.
Roger, just sort it out. The thing is, right, I'm so bored.
We really are trying.
Well, people aren't convinced.
We are working our hardest, and we do
people aren't
have
convinced.
A massive program to sort this out.
People aren't convinced.
Okay, I'm very sorry they're not convinced, but all I can do is to reiterate that we really are working. We've got this biggest driver training program ever known going on, and it is beginning to address the situation. But I think
reduce the cost of a travel ticket.
Right that we are
reduce the cost of a travel ticket. But you're taking their money. You're taking their money, and you're not providing the service that you say you're going to provide. And yet you're quite happy to take $4,000 a year, for their travel passes.
There is compensation if people.
Why should they have to? No. Why should they have to? Why should they have to chase it? Why is the onus on why is the onus on the people to chase it? What you should be doing more for your customers.
Yeah, I agree. We should.
Well, instead of getting them to chase the compensation, give it to them. Say, do you know what? We ballsed up. Tell you what, £250 off your pass.
But like I said, we are bringing in smart card ticketing.
Okay. We're going round in circles. Roger, the PR crisis averted, do you think?
Well, I don't think we ever had a PR crisis, but I did want to make sure that the full story was told.
Right.
And
Govia has
thank you very much for helping me do that.
Well, Govia has now had about 20 minutes on the show. Is everyone happy? We all happy? Can we move on? OK, I'm going to take that as a yes. 03459 455 555. So if your train's cancelled, it's only at the weekend, so it doesn't matter. And I know you've paid for it, but it doesn't matter. And it'll be sorted out by Easter next year. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But they do care, guys. They really do care. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number. Let's go to... I'm confused as to who's on what fader where. Which fader is James on? He's on 3. Morning, James.
Yeah, hi, Ian.
Morning, James. What you got for us, boss?
Yeah, there's a massive problem with economic migrants.
Yes, there is.
Quite rightly, and I'd do the same, trying to get into the European Union.
Yeah, no, there is.
Well, the European Human Rights Act basically has a policy that if you get here, you can stay. So
Not for economic migrants, it doesn't, no.
No. Whoa. If you say you're a refugee, you can't be proven wrong. It's almost impossible. The United Nations had a survey that said that less than 1% of people were actually personally refugees.
Right.
So you create a stampede.
I agree with you that
which leads to tragedies.
Yeah, James.
Like this horrible.
James, I agree with you. You're the gentleman that said that this is the BBC's fault, didn't you? I think, is that right?
Yeah, I think it's the fault of people who are they're not long-sighted enough. As an example, the people in Calais are not refugees; they're economic migrants.
And you know that how?
I know loads and loads of refugees, refugee claimants. I don't know one genuine refugee. I know loads of people.
Let's talk about the one specifically in Calais. How do you know? I agree with economic migrants. You know, that's if they're doing it legally, beautiful. If they're doing it illegally, well, then that's inappropriate.
I'd do the same, mate. I'd do it illegally. If I lived in Afghanistan or Pakistan or Africa, if I lived in India, I'd try and get into a nice white country, a nice rich white.
So you don't have a problem with them?
No, I do have a problem with them.
Oh, but you do it. Oh, that's confusing.
I would absolutely do it, of course. I'd lie, I'd get on the back of the truck.
What about the ones that are fleeing Syria, where there's been 250,000 people killed? What about those ones? Are those economic migrants, in your opinion?
No, some of those are refugees. But
okay, so we should be helping.
No, you're not going to talk over me. No. You're either trying to make good radio, or you're trying to.
No, James, I'm just trying to unravel. You're just trying to unravel and get to the point of your argument. I'm asking you a question.
No. The United Nations.
It's one of them.
1% of refugee claimants are genuine personal refugees.
Okay.
And only one. The European Union said that only 1 in 5. Syrian refugee claimants actually come from Syria.
I'm talking about the...
Quite rightly.
Okay, James.
If someone's 100%...
Can I ask a question or can I ask... Am I allowed to ask a question? Is that okay?
Yeah, go on then.
Thank you, James.
I know what you're going to say anyway, but go on.
Oh, go on then. Tell me what I'm going to say, because I haven't actually even thought the question out. But you tell me what I'm going to say. Go on.
You're going to say if someone's a genuine refugee, should we give them refuge? And I say yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We should pay
How do you differentiate between...
A genuine... It's impossible. You can't.
Exactly.
I mean, it's it's almost impossible. But
how is it the BBC's fault that Aileen Curdy died?
Constantly, the BBC, well, it's partially your fault, but the BBC constantly peddles this pro-EU propaganda. The European human rights is great. The EU is fantastic. The fact is, when you've spoken about that guy, John, the charity worker, you constantly said you agree with him and you agree with charity working.
I do agree with charities, yes. I do, yeah. I think charities do good work.
Wait a second. Those people in Calais are
I'm late for the travel again.
And you encourage a stampede and accidents happen.
Okay.
Give refuge locally. It's really simple.
I don't know if they get the podcast in Syria.
Yeah, okay, you can make a flippant point. I meant generally, people should be more long.
How do you know? How do you know?
Locally.
I'm assuming, James, that you've been to speak to the refugees in Calais, have you?
I've spoken to hundreds of refugees, not in Calais.
Can I ask where you spoke to these hundreds of refugees? Because I'm going to be honest, James. I don't believe you've spoken to hundreds.
I've probably spoken to about 30 probably about 50 or 60.
We've already got it down by a few hundred. How have you spoken to about 50 refugees?
People I know, people I work with, people around Bedfordshire.
And so you've reported them to the authorities, have you, for being here illegally?
No, what can you do?
Oh,
You know,
so
they
then
can-
you're part of the
one
problem.
person-
So you're part of the problem as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. What can
Wow.
we do?
Well, you could report them to the authorities. If they're here illegally, you could report them to the authorities.
Yeah, I suppose.
You could do that.
I don't think I'd get very far because they'd just say it's one person's word against another. And
Yeah, they would. But still,
But the thing is, it's really simple. In one sentence, I know you're waiting for trouble. In one sentence,
Yes.
give refuge locally, and then you don't have a stampede, and you don't have accidents. Simple.
Well, I'm glad you solved that up. And on behalf of the BBC, I apologise for the
Anything
death.
else, mate?
I apologise for the death of that 5-year-old child on behalf of the BBC.
I said partial.
Well, I apologise. I partially apologise for the death of that 5-year-old child on behalf of the BBC that caused the stampede.
At some point, but that was the reason why they came here. That child's family weren't refugees anyway. They were given refuge in Turkey. They've been living there for years. He was quite rightly trying to get to Europe.
Okay, James.
Okay, Ian. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, mate. Take care. Ta-ta.
Take care, mate. Bye.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There are delays on the M1. There's a lane closed southbound between junction 13 for Bedford and 12 for Flitwick. That's causing delays from junction 14 for Milton Keynes. Also northbound, there's a lane blocked by an accident involving 2 cars between junction 13 for Bedford and 14 for Milton Keynes, so delays in both directions. Also, it's slow on the M1 southbound through where the roadworks are between junction 12 for Flitwick and 11 for Dunstable, and the bad weather's adding to those delays. On the M25 anti-clockwise, there are 3-mile queues just after junction 24 for Potters Bar because of a breakdown, and on the A41 Northwestern Avenue in North Waterford, there are queues around the Dome roundabout. On the trains, Great Northern are reporting 10-minute delays in and out of Moorgate because of a signalling problem. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you, because I want to give her a fair crack of the whip. Let's go straight to the weather, shall we?
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello, very good morning to you. We've had some outbreaks of rain so far this morning, but that weather front is now pushing its way off to the east, so it should stay dry from now on, really. Still a little bit of rain left to come across parts of Hertfordshire, though, but after that front, it's going to be feeling a bit fresher, it will be brighter, and we'll see some sunshine around as well. Perhaps the odd isolated shower this afternoon, but they'll be very few and far between. Most places will be dry, and it will turn into a pretty nice day. Top temperatures today up to around 17 Celsius, 63 in Fahrenheit. A light to moderate westerly breeze. Now that breeze is going to ease down through the course of the night. It's going to be a dry night to come. It's going to feel quite chilly as well underneath largely clear skies. So temperatures probably dropping down to around 8 or 9 degrees even in some of the towns. So in the rural spots it's going to feel really quite chilly into tomorrow morning. A few mist patches possible, as I said, and then tomorrow is going to be a really nice day. We've got high pressure building from the south, so it's looking dry. There'll be plenty of good spells of sunshine around and highs of around 17 or 18 Celsius, not just for tomorrow but also over the weekend, dry with some good spells of sunshine, just rather chilly nights and possibly some misty mornings. Ian, that's the forecast.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you for your patience this morning. It's appreciated. Been one of them mornings.
Every weekday morning.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Morning. Do you think it's right to tell 1 million disabled people they should get off benefits and find a job?
Have your say on today's big phone-in.
People who are going to be a nuisance are going to be a nuisance regardless of whether there are things to do.
Is it true that people over the age of 65 drink far too much booze?
The JVS show fights for your rights and tackles your consumer problems.
Waited and the receipt came out, but the cash didn't.
It's become a problem of late because obviously the trees got bigger as we got here.
We couldn't shut the French windows. It would appear that they'd buckled.
I had a phone call from my daughter saying if we don't get off the train, they're going to hand us over to the British Transport Police.
The JVS show, weekdays from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio. This is Iain Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Darren's just, I like Darren. He's just tweeted, I can't tell if you're having a good day or a bad day today. A good show or a bad show
Nor
today.
Can we.
No, it's one of those, I need to go for a run or something, or a lie down. I need to start smoking again. That's what I need to do after this. Flip it. Have we got any texts?
Yeah, we've got loads.
Have we got any that are a bit lighter?
All right, let me have a look. Let me have a look.
Oh, no, we haven't.
Oh, here's a really light one. I mean, how light do you want to go? Light.
Yes.
Like proper light.
Yes.
Louise in Kings Langley. Hi, Ian. Love your show. You make me laugh. Not today.
Not today.
What was that last record you played?
The Fall Guy.
Yeah, The Fall Guy. You obviously are not out of the 70s stroke 80s, Louise in Kings Langley. We envy you.
The Fall Guy, I'm going to say, was 83.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, we're definitely involved in the 1980s there.
I remember it, but very, very, very vaguely. Let me see. Hang on.
I've not got to talk about how old Arthur Scargill looks. I didn't know he was still alive, but he looks. Arthur Scargill. I'm sure he's alive, or maybe he's dead.
No, I don't think he's alive, is he?
Well, then why is there a picture of him alive? Where's the Sun? Page 13 of the Sun. Hang on. Ex-Miners leader. Here we go. He's alive.
No.
And he looks. Do you know who he looks like? He looks like Dennis from Dunstable.
He does a bit.
He really does. Ex-Miners leader Arthur Scargill claims state-sponsored assassins tried to murder him 6 times.
Crikey.
He said, 6 attempts on my life. Someone shooting as I entered me home. Someone trying to stab me. Someone sending me... Bomb! Everybody, out!
Wow. You did him in my voice then.
I did. I was angry cat.
The one you reserved for me.
Passionate cat. Not done that. Not talked about Stringy having another baby at 74. Not talked about...
is she delivered?
Yep, not having
Mrs.
to about
Stringy.
Happy Britain. I've just got to say this because this is weird, right? This is a great story. Right? Technology and strength triumphs over adversity. Paralysed man walks again using the power of the mind. Isn't that how we all walk, though?
Well, your brain stroke nerves.
We all walk due to the power of our mind. I mean, this is a machine that's kind of rigged him up and he can think the machine to...
Oh, right. Okay,
but
I
that's
get
how
that.
we all walk, isn't it? Is the power of the mind. Which is stronger, the mind or the leg?
Well, if your legs aren't strong enough, your mind can't do anything about
Giant
it.
spiders, bad parking. Didn't get a chance to do any of that.
Oh,
never mind.
Oh well, there's always tomorrow.
Still, here's today's light story: trains. Justin.
Good morning, boss. Now, after the programme, you, me, 2 pretty Thai ladies, Thai massage. What do you reckon?
I think I might break their fingers. I'm too. Jeez. Anyway, it's taken my mind off of losing my cat.
What?
Lost my cat.
It?
Yeah, she's gone missing.
No, don't worry, I'll come back. Don't worry.
Yeah, we got the puppy, and she's. Oh man, I'm
no,
gutted.
you know what cats are like. They are arrogant. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's all an attention-seeking thing. The cat will come back. Don't worry.
Fingers crossed. All right. What have you got for us, Just?
You've been talking about trains this morning.
Yes.
What a fascinating conversation with the man from Govia earlier on. People talking about a lack of drivers and the cancellations. Don't worry, guys. We're going to sort it out next week, next month. No, by next Easter.
Easter? It's going to be fine by Easter?
Yeah, it's going to be fine, guys. So don't worry. Keep on paying your £4 plus, and by next Easter, hopefully, we'll sort the journey out. So here's some commuters that I spoke to this morning who use that Govia line going into London. Poor people, 5 days a week. Here's what they had to say. Sean, you're travelling into London this morning using Govia. Use the service 5 days a week. Describe how it is for you.
Shocking every single day. There's delays in the service. There's ridiculously overpriced to get to London firstly. There's drivers always never on shift, so there's trains cancelled and delayed.
I mean, how frustrating is that for you? You're trying to get into work, you're trying to get home from work, and suddenly there's no drivers for your train.
Yeah, it's very annoying. It's lethargic. I'm getting back later and later every day.
How long can this continue for you? Are you now looking to get a job locally, maybe, because of the service?
Not really. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I think I've been looking into it recently over the past year, definitely.
Just because of the service and the way it is?
Yeah.
OK, I appreciate your time.
Cheers, thank you.
Angus, you're travelling to London this morning. Govia, on this line into London, has it improved your journey into work at all?
No, not really. There's still delays, there's still cancellations. Possibly the communication's got slightly better, but the service isn't any better.
So how many times have you been waiting for a train and suddenly it doesn't go because there's no driver?
Oh, recently it's been a lot. Probably, for me, at this time in the morning, every couple of weeks it happens.
Really?
Yeah.
OK, well, listen, you don't look happy already. I'll let you get into work. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Iain Lee.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
And this is the thing, Justin, right? We get, and we'll probably get a complaint later on from it. Turns out it's not Govia, it's Govia.
Well, that's the first time I've heard that.
Do you know
to be
what?
fair.
We'll get a complaint about the way it was handled, but in all honesty, Govia, they've had a fair. We were late for the news. They had a fair crack at the whip twice. They called back to say they wanted another go. We gave them another go. The reason I'm angry is because of people like that you talk to. People that use. I don't use that train line. They use that train line. They pay a shed load of money to use that train line, whether it's a daily ticket, a weekly pass, or an annual pass. It's about $4,000, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And all of this, well, there are online forms you can fill in. If the train is over 30 minutes late, we get heavily fined. No.
Yeah.
Charge them less. If you're not providing the service, charge them less. It only happens at weekends. All right, it doesn't happen so much in the rush hour. It does happen in the weekdays, but what if I travel on Saturdays or Sundays? I'm a lesser passenger. I deserve lesser service.
And the thing is, you say, if you speak to somebody in charge of a company and they talk about it being at weekends, well, we've heard from people this morning who are saying that is not the case. A guy there, fascinating. I think he was worried his boss might be listening, but he's thinking about changing his job because a lot of people, when they get to work, they think that people are making excuses and they're turning up late because they're lazy. And that is reality.
So what's your excuse, Dealey?
I'm on time every day, and that's because I've got my own car. But if I was taking public transport and I was late in 2 or 3 times a week, you probably think to yourself, well, what are you doing working on the programme if you can't turn up on time for work?
Dealey, excellent stuff, mate. Thank you very much. Speak to you later on. That's it. That's your lot, guys. And, oh, look! We're going to travel on time for the first time this morning.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, are you there? Fair play. She's taken full ownership of me and said, you know what? I've had enough. Oh, fair play, Sammy. Well done. She's gone out for a cup of coffee. We have taken the mick all morning. Thank you to Elizabeth and to Sammy. My timings have been... It's been one of those shows today where the schedule and the timetable we've just chucked it out the window. So she's probably gone for a good lie down. Good for her. We're about to record the links for the podcast after the show. The podcast, oh yeah, if you go to iTunes, if you go to the BBC Three Counties website, there's a kind of a weekly best of. I suspect it's going to be a very angry one this week. And there's bonus stuff that don't make it to the radio. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Catherine. And thank you in advance, Catherine, for all the people phoning up to complain that you're going to have to deal with after the show.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thanks, Ian. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon Smith. It's Thursday. It's 9 o'clock. And on today's Big Phone In, do you think you can use your phone safely whilst driving? New research shows that almost half of all motorists witness people using a mobile phone behind the wheel every single day. Despite the threat of 3 penalty points and a £100 fine, people continue to use their mobiles whilst driving. Nearly a third of drivers surveyed admitted to sending a text message whilst on the road, and some even go as far as ordering takeaways and checking their dating profile. Well, the fines are increasing and road safety experts are urging people to ditch devices at the wheel, but it seems people believe they're safe to use their phone whilst driving. Well, I want to hear your reaction to this today. Do you think you can use your phone safely whilst driving? Here's my telephone number for your call. I'd love to hear from you on 03459 455 555.
This is the JVS show
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'll take your call in just a second, but first let's get the latest BBC News at 9 o'clock. Here's Simon Oxley.
The headlines: Chancellor starts HS2 bidding process. Buckinghamshire fundraiser apologises for using picture of dead boy. And MK Dons manager praises fans after 6-0 thrashing.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
George Osborne has used his visit to China to launch the bidding process for constructing the first phase of HS2 through Buckinghamshire. The Chancellor is urging Chinese firms to pitch for contracts, but Conservative MP for Chesham and Amersham, Cheryl Gillan, says it's wrong to open the bidding when Parliament hasn't yet backed the scheme.
I still wonder whether this really is a priority for government, considering that they've cancelled other very important projects in the north, such as the Midlands electrification. And I also worry about the stability around this project, because we still really do not know what the new complexion Labour opposition will do.
A Buckinghamshire fundraiser has apologised for using an image of a dead Syrian boy on a beach on leaflets to thousands of people. John Van Wienen was trying to encourage people in Olney to donate clothes to send to the migrants at Calais, and says with hindsight he wouldn't have put that particular picture through letterboxes in the town.
If a child had found it, I agree now that it possibly was the wrong picture to put on. But at the time, I wanted to actually get people behind me and let people see what is going on in the real world. And it's true, that's what's happening.
Meanwhile, European leaders have agreed to provide €1 billion to help millions of Syrian refugees. Britain has pledged another £100 million. And French officials say a teenager thought to have been between 15 and 17 years old was killed near the Channel Tunnel in the early hours of this morning. It's believed he was from East Africa. A Luton man has been found guilty of sexually assaulting 2 teenage girls at a swimming pool in Aylesbury. 40-year-old Anthony Crawford assaulted the girls in the changing area at the Aqua Vale pool in February this year. He'll be sentenced at Amersham Crown Court next month. Train operator Govia say they won't have enough drivers until Easter next year, following complaints from Hertfordshire County Council. The councillor in charge of transport is complaining about poor services on the Thameslink and Great Northern lines after further cancelled trains